No matter what the circumstances may be, no, God is always there for me. Yeah, through the sunshine or through the rain, through the pleasure or through the pain, God is always there for me. So I met this old man. He was so poor, didn't hold no bed, so we slept on the floor. He's always smiling, never heard him complain. He said I've proven God again and again. So no matter what the circumstances may be, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the sunshine or through the rain, through the pleasure or through the pain, God is always there for me. No matter what the circumstances may be, yeah, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the good times or through the bad, through the happy times or through the sad, God is always there for me. The landlord wears the rent, school fee too, partner drop bonds, and the youth them need you. Friends all ask me what I'm gonna do. I smile and tell them that God will see me through. So no matter what the circumstances may be, yeah, God is always there for me. Yeah, through the sunshine or through the rain, through the pleasure or through the pain, God is always there for me. So no matter what the circumstances may be, God is always there for me. Yeah, through the good times or through the bad, through the happy times or through the sad, God is always there for me. I met this old man, he was so poor, he didn't hold no bed, so we slept on the floor. He's always smiling, I never heard him complain. He said I've proven God again and again. So no matter what the circumstances may be, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the sunshine or through the rain, through the pleasure or through the pain, God is always there for me. No matter what the circumstances may be, no, God is always there for me. Yeah. Through the good times or through the bad, through the happy times or through the sad.
Tools, hardware, and supplies is holding up the heat this summer with their super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring, and more. At Tools, hardware, and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware. Don't give up, yeah. Just ride out the storm. So far away, there's not a broken vessel God can't make. The thief was down to his last breath, hanging there and kept away. When he turned to the master and said, Lord of mercy, hold me, he was just a broken vessel. Then Jesus washed away his sins. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel that God can make. Oh, there's not a broken vessel God can't make. Yeah. When the whole world turns its back on you, Jesus will be your friend. He will pick up all the pieces, time and time again. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel that God can't make. Lord Almighty, Jesus sees the potter, and we are just the clay. And even when the vessel is broken, he won't throw the clay away. Bring him all of your borders, your troubles and your sin. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel Almighty God can make. Yeah, yeah. There's not a broken vessel that God can make. Yeah, yeah. When the whole world turns its back on you, Jesus will always be your friend. He will pick up all the pieces, time and time again. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel that God can't make. Yeah, yeah. There's not a broken vessel that God can't make. Yeah. When the whole world turns its back on you, Jesus will always be your friend. He will pick up all the pieces, time and time again. 'Cause there's not a broken vessel God can make.
Good afternoon to all my listeners and viewers. Welcome to Rebel Radio. Monday, first working day. Yes, and there's lots of things happening. The war in the Middle East continues. And here at home we are still preoccupied with post-hurricane rehabilitation activities. And there are so many things. Budget. Yes, the budget was presented. And we are now looking forward to see what impact it will have on the lives of the people. Very tough times. We are living in very, very tough times. And I have economist Ralston Hyman with me this evening. We are going to review the Prime Minister's presentation. Yes, as you know, the Prime Minister presented last Thursday. Good afternoon, Ralston.
Yeah, man, good afternoon to your listeners.
Yes. Well, the Prime Minister has presented his budget and what he intends to do. So far, what do you make of his presentation, Ralston?
All right, let's start with this because, them have this thing where when we talk, them say, boy, we up on the other side and we political. All right. What Setia said, them have an officer them called the Fiscal Commissioner. It is a statutory body that was set up to succeed EPOC, right?
Yes.
Now, the job of the commissioner is to watch how the government collect taxes and how the government spend the money. So one people get that. He's not a political person. He's an independent person. From day one when the budget was where the fiscal commissioner said the budget not credible. Why he said not credible? He said the budget was made before the full calculation of the damage done by Hurricane Melissa was done. That was one. Two, he said the government can't spend the amount of money with them, so they must spend on the capital side because they not fix the procurement process. He said the budget not credible because the amount of money where them allocate to the public sector, them allocate it without coming to any agreement with the public. Private sector said the tax package are going to make them uncompetitive. The Prime Minister never addressed none of those things in his presentation. So that tells you that the budget is not credible because the independent person who came up with the same thing what we come up with, the Prime Minister not addressed none of those issues, right? What the Prime Minister that was talk for a long time is the usual announcement. None of them announcement there, no money has been earmarked to the budget for those things, right? The next thing is that the present situation, the international crisis and the impact on oil prices. The Prime Minister and his cabinet, the average oil price projected in the budget for the next 4 years are $62 a barrel. Right now, oil is still trading at over $100 per barrel, although Trump said I try to seek an off-ramp to stop the war because he get embarrassed. Prime Minister never addressed none of those things. So the Prime Minister's presentation was just a long-winded presentation made in a vacuum. It not addressed none of the real issues that people want to be. I got change more than people that said pour on them life get harder.
So
nothing hard.
The real issues were left untouched. That's what you are saying.
Untouched, yeah. I'm not addressing none of those issues.
You made a point. You said when the budget was constructed, was made up, that the oil price, they use a oil price at $62 per barrel.
For the next 4 years, not just for this budget alone, for the next 4 years. Yeah, which was way out of sync with reality.
Yes.
And him still not addressed that in his presentation. He not addressed what the fiscal commissioner said about procurement. He not addressed what the fiscal commissioner said that the budget was made before him calculate the full impact of Hurricane Melissa, which turned out to be $2 trillion rather than $1.4 trillion. So the commissioner says that the budget way off this, and we said that too.
Okay. So, as we say before, that we have to brace ourselves. The country should brace people, brace themselves for more hardships.
More hardships, yeah, man. More hardships. Because nothing to ease the hardships more than 6% increase on the minimum wage, so $17,000. That can compensate for the price increases that have come because of the tax package and because of the price increases that will food prices, higher energy prices, higher light bills, higher water bills, and them things. So more people are just go underwater, get poorer. Yep.
He made some announcement about public sector workers getting some preferential treatment from the NHT.
Yeah, well, those were the things that made any sense. And those those things will get overwhelmed by the higher cost of living still. So for example, in public sector workers who are work 10 years will get a 2% reduction, 10 years are over, 2% reduction on the NHT rate. Those with 5 years and over will get a reduction of 1% in the NHT rate. Them things are make no big difference. Yeah, because the overall impact of the negatives, the tax package and the global crisis, yeah, overwhelm all of them little thing there. Because the people who get that, them still have to pay more for gas, them have to pay more for food, them have to pay more for everything. Yeah. So that now have a big, it's not a big cushion. Yeah.
Yes.
What people want is a total recasting of the budget, because the budget full. You need to recast the budget. Yeah, simple.
Yes. And as far as wage increases are concerned, the Prime Minister didn't make any additional announcements, so we should not, the public sector workers should not expect any significant increases.
No.
Yeah.
Say anything different tomorrow from what he said.
Right. And, you know, we have been talking about this for a long time, opposition and government. Productivity. That we need more productivity. We need the workforce to be more productive. But you have to provide some incentives, I believe, to drive productivity.
Yeah, man. So, yeah.
And we haven't seen that.
No. So, for example, you need to invest capital budget, $2.4 billion. So, if you look at the majority of the schools, then, because the traditional schools, them, yeah, them produce most of the people them who go on for the good things. But the new secondary schools, them, which are the larger number of schools, them not have enough capital, them not have enough plants and them things, they don't have enough quality teachers, because most of the quality people them gone at Campion and KC and all of them things. So the majority of the workforce now get the proper training because I need more investments in our education. The transportation system is still a problem. The way the road them clog up with transportation, so you can't move easily from point A to point B. The Prime Minister's own office, the Prime Minister one of the greatest contributor to the weak productivity in our country, because everything loaded up a FEMA office and nothing can move unless he move it. And him just one man and him have a capacity problem. So everything gone up at the office of the Prime Minister, that is a big bottleneck. Projects will go off, it can't manage. And him busy to do all kind of things, yeah. So all them things have to improve. We have to change the structure of government. Too much things up at Jamaica House, yeah. You have to improve the transportation system. You have to improve the education system, yeah. You have to pay the people them better if you want more productivity. So them things have to start. Yeah, that's announcements, but you have to put the things in place to get them done.
But he announced a new agency that is going to take on some of those responsibilities, NARA.
Yeah. All right. The NARA itself, the announcement is inefficient from November. And them just able to build in a parliament for NARA. NARA now have no staff yet, them just are trying to recruit people. So NARA is still non-existent 5 months after the hurricane.
Yes.
And it's not. Prime Minister talk of good talk, but action poor. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you believe in an announcement, then you will big him up. And people just want announcement. We pass the announcement stage, we want action. The amount I think what the Prime Minister announced for the last 11 years, I would have seen nothing happen. Remember the same thing I talk about NARA and this fast and everything. In 2016, we heard this thing about this growth council led by Michael Leach with 5-4. That flop. And then him come out there. Boy, it was just aspirational. We need more action from the Prime Minister, and let's talk. What the biggest mistake in making at the presentation, and tell the country that under his leadership, this is the first time Jamaica's foreign policy has led to economic benefits. That's a total lie, yeah? Because the relationship we have with Cuba started with Michael Milo, when just terminated a while ago, bring a whole heap of economic benefits to the country. So the doctor said, with a heavy heart. because the amount of people who know depend upon him to fix them iron them things. All them things are economic benefits. GC Foster, Ose Martin, yeah? Mona High School, yeah? Them things never come under the Prime Minister's tenure. The Prime Minister, the man who terminated the relationship with Cuba. So all the economic benefits we get from Cuba came under the Michael Manley administration. Additionally, the relationship with China big in Jamaica, yeah? The Prime Minister never support the one China policy. It's Michael Manley, in fact, they terminated the relationship with China during the 1980s. It's Michael Manley, 91. Me was lucky for the on the trip with him. Yes, so the economic benefits I get with China. Anti-Willis now have nothing to do with it. Venezuela, Michael Manley established relationship with Carlos Andres first, in the 70s. That's how we get places like Portmore, we get to get the whole thing about Petrocaribe, prices $347 per barrel. The thing with the Prime Minister boasts the most about the reduction in the debt to GDP ratio after them carried to 150% in 2012 is Venezuela help we to bring down the debt to GDP ratio and start the process when them sell with $3 billion for $1.5 billion. All those things are economic benefits, and the Prime Minister wasn't Prime Minister at that time. So that's a total lie and it's total nonsense. Instead of addressing the real issues, when I know that disingenuous things when I say that now help me right now. Prime Minister want to step up to the plate and deal with the problems that I deal with right now. That what I say.
Yes. And we don't see, based on what was announced, we don't see any concrete plans to address the issues like, repairing the roads. Well, he announced that 37.
No.
He announced that 37 bridges will be repaired. So we are waiting to see how that is going to work out. Yeah.
The SPARK program that they talk about, to do them something. The Prime Minister and the budgeting, the budget papers tell you that they only spent $5 billion last year out of the $45 billion, and said this year is only another $4.5 billion will be spent. So the things that the Prime Minister said is not written down in the budget papers. We read the budget, so we know them things that we must say, them things they unbudgeted for. Those are just announcements and promises. If the things that are budget unbudgeted for, then it never happen.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So the body can go and read the fiscal policy paper and see what is written down at the budget and what is written down to be spent. Most of the things that we announce, none of them things that are at the budget as usual. Yep. So the kind of conmanship, them things that never work. I want to tell the Prime Minister, said them things that never work at the time. A serious time we're under right now, and we need concrete solutions. Food security is a big problem in the world now because of the war. No farmers in Europe and them things that stop produce because they must say the cost of fertilizer are too high and them things that. But one Prime Minister tell us we're not about security. All them things that we'd expect to hear from them. Jamaica's food import bill was $1.7 billion last year. Yeah. So I get out of sync with them with food. Yeah? We don't want to hear from
we can expect that is going to go up this year.
Yeah, of course. That is what the world is talking about right now. The Prime Minister talking about the world not talking about that right now. The world is dealing with a court now because the man must say another great recession and a great stagflation. Yeah.
So we'll be asked to find more US dollars to buy food. Buy oil. Buy oil.
All right.
And we don't see any plans to earn more. Right?
That's the point I'm making. No strategy. That's a whole lot of chatting. Yep. So I need more foreign exchange to buy oil and all of them things. I will get less remittances. I will get less tourism money because global tourism get licked up because of the war. Jet fuel prices gone up, ticket prices gone up. Less people are going to travel from America because of the war and the fear and the higher cost of living, and the remittances are cut down. And him not tell me how we're going to save more foreign exchange. And those are things I want to hear about.
Yes. Those are
why the Bank of Jamaica have an auction this morning? Let me show you a typical example. The Bank of Jamaica has an auction and a foreign exchange this morning for producers who have bills to pay. And then put in 15 million. You know how much more money them say them want? 116 million. Alright, so that's still a part of the story.
106 million.
116 million. 116.
Yeah.
And the Bank of Jamaica only put in 50. Yeah.
50.
So that shows you how bad things are. 50 million and the money want 116 million. This morning that happened between 8:45 and 9:45. Yeah. Joke man.
Wow.
Yeah, joking in the pan. The political gimmicks. Them things they have work on them kind of bad mind cap on all them foods. Them things they can't work. Yeah. We need a more sensible discussion. In talk about the Cuban program, yeah, and I'm not said to the public saying this is what I'm going to use to replace it. So you say I discussed the thing with the man from 2023. I know at 2026 when the program terminates, you don't have any alternative. So when people have them eye problem and all them problem, all them people are going to suffer.
Yes.
Private doctors $1 million to deal with themselves.
Yes, that is going to be a serious problem, right now.
That's right, brother.
It is going to have a serious impact on the delivery of health care in the country. Very serious.
Precisely. Yeah.
And as we know in this case, the masses, the poorer classes, they are the ones who are going to feel the brunt of
man. So all the media said, Bina did a TV's did a good reporting the other night because after him said what him said, them got to the people them down St. Joseph and show the people them, or the people them are suffer, how them are feel it contrary to what him has said. Yeah? Yeah man, them need to the reality. Look at political stunts and gimmicks. Something they can't work again. People pass them stage. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very serious situation, Ralston. And
serious times for people face men, man.
yes. And
yeah, man. Serious times.
Don't see any pathway that is going to ease up the problem, ease up the burden on the people. This is
no.
Very, very, very crucial. Well,
yeah, man, that was what people were expecting. People think that the man now come down and say, yo, this is all every country in the world right now, Europe and the world, them they say, I try to find a way to ease the burden on them people. England, Spain, all them countries that were rich. I said, boy, the people in myself, I want to try to find a way to ease the burden. Yeah, instead them come with a bag of promises and all kind of election gimmicks and political gimmicks. People are dealing with that right now. So, people are doing that right now. Which now collect the road, them lock down, everything done, cost of living a go, medical care a go, and all of the doctor and all kind of foolishness. Everything in our world.
yeah.
We have to come better than that.
All right, we have to leave it there for today, but these are issues that we have to follow up, Ralston, because these are the real stuff. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that are affecting the people.
Yes, thank you very much for your time today, and let us say to be continued. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Because the Minister of Finance speak concludes the discussions tomorrow.
Yes.
But we don't expect to say nothing different from what he said. Yeah, but what them do, all around the road, them are going. If you notice, all the people in the private sector opposed to what them do, and the private sector normally support the government, but the man them say them on the wrong track.
Okay. All right,
yeah,
Ralston. Yes.
All right, brother. Bless you. Yeah, man. Bless. Mm-hmm.
That was economist Ralston Iman. Yes, we're reviewing the Prime Minister's budget presentation. This is Rebel Radio. Let us take a break.
It's the Everybody Sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleyburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, Hardware and Supplies is holding up the heat this summer with their super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring and more. At Tools, Hardware and Supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware.
Yes, welcome back to Rebel Radio. Yes, and we're going to change the tone a little. I have with me centenarian Aston Wallace. Now, you know, when you live to see 100 years, that is an achievement. Yes. And Mr. Aston Wallace, today is his birthday. And we at Rebel Radio want to say happy birthday to Mr. Wallace. And we are going to have a discussion with our centenarian guest now. Mr. Wallace, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure to talk with you today. Today is your birthday.
Yes, sir.
Happy birthday, sir. Happy birthday. Yes.
God bless you.
Yes, sir. I'll tell my listeners, Mr. Aston Wallace is from our community there in Cane River. Yes. Cane River. That is where you have the Cane River Falls. And a very historic place. A lot of people don't know. Cane River is walking distance from the Dallas Great House, and one of the things that I just want to point out to my listeners that the founder of Dallas, Texas, in the United States, that is where he was born, just up there in Cane River, Dallas. Yes. So, Brother Wallace, tell us, when were you born?
I was born on the 23rd of March, 1926.
Wow, 1926. Well. That was. And Brother Wallace, tell us. Tell my listeners and viewers, what was it like in your young days as a boy? What was life like as a teenager?
Life was all different ways. You have it rough and tough and soft and straight and lean and whatever.
Yes.
You know.
Uh-huh. So where in Jamaica was that? Where you spent your teenage days?
Where in
Jamaica you spent your young days, your teenage days?
Oh, I was in the district of called Silver Park.
Yes.
District.
Okay.
We never have any cane involved at the time.
Okay.
So I was at Silver Park. District. That's where I was born. I'm born in Silver Park District in the parish of St. Andrew.
Yes. And Stable Park is adjoining Cane River. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me. We have a little audio from the surveyor who come in and do the extraction with the cane river and the news, River is just a river from all the way up Plumstead all the way down to Dallas Castle, down to Civil Park, down to New Zealand, down to 7 Mile Bull Bay, into the sea.
Yes.
That's just a river. It was not a district.
Okay.
The district was, Newstead.
Okay.
They have Newstead and Civil Park.
Yes.
And Friendship Brook.
Okay.
We never have any Cane River as a district. Cane River is just a river,
Yeah.
really.
Okay. Yes. Understood, sir. Yes. So you say, as a youngster, life was rough and tough, and so give us an idea of what as a young man. Give us an idea of
well, as a young man coming up in my young teen, I used to cultivate.
Yes.
And then from cultivation, I do have a little other things. Try to sell little ice cream, snowball, if you know what I call snowball.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Snowball in the glass. You share the ice and put it in the glass. And
yes.
Yes, and all the way up, and I try to sell a little biscuit and thing around the district. And so on, and coming up and till at the age of 26, I believe, I get a farm worker card, and I went away and came back, and then put myself into mechanic and driving and what have you, and till this time, and that's where I expire from the driving and the road and so on and so on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about school? What school did you attend?
Oh, well, then the school at the time was run in a little district we call Friendship Brook, not where it is now.
Yes.
That's where the school is. That's where I went to school.
Uh-huh.
That's where I went to school there. And old school years. But for the little that I can do, and my mother could do, that's where I went to school. Friendship Brook, the school. That's where I went to.
Okay, yes. So you said at 26 you went to America on the what it was, farm work program?
Pardon me?
No, you said you got a ticket and went to America. That was what? On the farm work program?
Yeah.
Oh.
That was 53. 53.
Okay.
That's where I start.
Your memory is still good, Mr. Wallace. Yes. So how long you spend on the farm work program?
I went up to America the 3rd of November 1953.
Yes.
And came back 54 the 29th of May.
Okay. All right. Yes. And you said when you came back, you decided to go on now and learn mechanic?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So you have been a mechanic for a very long time?
Pardon me?
You have been a mechanic. You were a mechanic for a long time?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I see. And then as a young man in your time, tell us how did, for example, where were the entertainment places?
Say that again?
Entertainment, where you went to entertain yourself?
Where
You know,
was with the rest of kids?
no. Entertainment, I'm saying as a young man, you're in your time, where was the main entertainment center from where you live up there in Stable Pass?
The entertainment center is just, well, there was none, I have to say. There was none at the time. No entertainment center wasn't.
Okay. So from where you live there now, your people didn't come to Kingston.
Pardon me?
From where you were living there as a young man, I'm asking if you didn't go to Kingston.
How far?
No, I'm asking if the people in your district at the time, if they went to Kingston.
If they went to Kingston?
Yes.
Where they went to Kingston?
Yeah, if they went to Kingston, I'm asking. Kingston, if the people in your, the people in your district, they didn't go to Kingston?
Yes, same Kingston.
So I'm asking, yeah, because, all right, from where you were living there now to Bull Bay, what was the means of transportation? Vehicle was virtual?
No transportation. The only transportation is the mule and cart or the donkey or the mule you have to just use to Kingston, to go to Bull Bay.
Yeah.
And that's where we get transport from to town.
Oh. Whoa. Yes, sir. So, and tell me something now. Electricity. What time did the electricity come in that side of where you live? Where you are living now? What time did you get electricity up there?
I don't know that.
Electricity, I'm asking about what time. Do you remember when electricity came to your village? Light, man.
Light?
Yes.
No. The light coming to the district there in the 70s. When I was a young man coming up, there was no light. It's in the 70s now when I was a big old man. We then, at that time now, put the light in the district. There was no light.
Okay.
No light, no water, no road.
That is it. So you have been living in Stable Pass for how long now, sir? How long you have been living where you are living now?
How long?
Yeah.
Where me living right now?
Yes. How long you have been living there?
I was living nearer to the Kilrow Fall up to the 67. I think I leave from down that end to nearer to Dallaston in the 70s. 72, 73, somewhere around there, and I call it.
Yes. Okay. So at 100 years, Mr. Wallace, do you still tell me what you do? Do you walk around?
Pardon me?
At 100 now, tell me something. What do you do? Are you able to walk around by yourself, or you need help to walk around?
At this time now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I need help.
Okay. So you don't move around by yourself?
No.
Okay.
Well, I can move, but I have to have somebody to be sure that I don't make any file or whatever. I am blind now, I'm fully blind now.
Okay.
I'm fully blind now.
Okay. Wow. I see. Yes, sir. Right. But you're still enjoying life, Brother Wallace.
Oh yes. By God's will.
Yes, yes. Then what are some of the things that you would want to tell the young people nowadays?
Well, there are many things. The most things I can really tell them, and that is the head of every man, every human life, is to see God to themselves and get the full understanding and know what is wrong from right and what is truth from lie. So that is what I can really tell them. See God first.
Yes.
And I think we'll hand it on to them.
Okay. Yes, sir. It is very, very good to you live to see that you're 100 years old. Yes, that is a significant achievement for you.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and apart from the fact that you have lost your sight, you're not sick otherwise?
No.
Yes?
No, I don't sick otherwise.
You don't have any diabetes nor none of those complaints?
I don't get that.
No, I said you don't have any diabetes nor none of those?
No diabetes. No.
Yes. Yes, sir. Right. Tell me something now. Tell me something that you remember that in your life, something that you remember that happened to you.
I don't sure I get you. Repeat it.
I am asking, throughout your life, in your life, tell me something that you stand out, something that you remember that happened to you.
Well, let me tell you this now. In my earliest school years, at the age of 10,
yes,
I was coming from school, and when I was going to school in the morning, I never walk on a bridge. I walk on to a red rock over your side and the right hand side going to Dallas. The part of the school was up in the French Brook District, the Great District.
Yes.
So, and when I come in from school, I walk on something what they call bridge, but I never see a bridge when I born. And I walk on a bridge, them call it bridge opening with plenty floor and thing and string the bridge. And then so what? Them christen the bridge, and all the school children walk on bridge.
Yes.
All who from Kenya walk on bridge. We don't walk over the brockway again, over the red rock, in the gully.
Yes.
And that bridge was placed there by nobody else besides one man come from England in the name of Stuart Woodward.
Yes.
And he came there and built the bridge. And that's where I know bridge from. And from until he passed off, he died. Until now, the bridge has been disrupted by even the little writing that they put on the bridge, saying that Woodward Bridge erected March 1936, and they never put the man picture on the stone on the bridge. No picture, only the little writing.
Yeah.
And these generations come now through politicians come, they rub it out, and then do a kind of thing with it. And it came to me several times in my heart, it look like I have to put that into the government now, to let them replace back the Woodward Bridge erected March 1936, and also put his photo there. He passed off and gone, but they can find something. But he was living in Dallas. A white man, Woodward.
Yes.
And I have it intention to put it forward. And I'm glad you come and raise that point.
Yes.
Because it was my intention to put it back.
You want him to be recognized?
Pardon me?
You want Mr. Woodward to be remembered?
Yeah.
So the bridge that he built is where the bridge is now?
Right.
The bridge over Cane River there. That is where that bridge was? That's
another question. Now the bridge, Woodward Bridge, the foundation, Woodward Bridge. It's surprising to me to know that all those big iron, them call it bridge girl and something like that. I heard that it is not there anymore. It's the Bailey Bridge where them bring no one put over it. Is there now. And no iron that I could see when I did drive high. The cigarette come from England. I don't know what name England. This and that, and I don't those iron that was there.
But one of the things you must, I don't know if you remember, that bridge that you are talking about, it was broken down, you know. The bridge that you are talking about, it was broken down.
I know.
It collapsed.
It collapsed, I know.
Yeah, a truck fell over there.
Yeah, a truck went down part of the way with it.
Yes.
I know that. When same year I come from America.
Okay.
I know that. But this one of them say them put it over it. And them called it Bailey Bridge. And when I asked the question, them said, no, other bridge not there. So Woodward bridge that he make the iron them. None is there. So I heard, I don't know, because I'm a blind man. I know that is not there.
Yes.
But the rest of building is there. The two sides is there and what have you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Right. So I can't well imagine. But you don't, how many children? You don't tell me anything about your children.
Pardon me?
You haven't told me anything about your children. Your children.
How
many children?
How many?
Yeah.
9.
Wow. 9. How many boys and girls?
6 boys and 3 girls.
Okay. I see. Yes, sir. Well, I understand that they are putting on a party for you next month.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I hope to attend.
Okay, so Rich.
Yes, so you have a good day and thank you very much for your time.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, sir.
God bless you.
All right. That was centenarian Aston Wallace there, you know, and it is an achievement, you know, when one live to see 100 years. Yes, that is significant, you know. And Mr. Wallace is, he has lost his sight, but he's still alive. That is really something to really think about. Nowadays I know that there are many centenarians around Jamaica. I might not know about them personally, but he is one of several, and it is, you know, good thing for us to be able to really share ideas at 100 years. It's really an achievement. Well, you know, one of the things that we at Rebel Radio will have to look about, because we know that they are not talking about this, but this is something that is going to be impactful. We are talking about medical care. The withdrawal of the Cuban doctors is going to have a significant impact on the delivery of medical care in Jamaica. It is. Right, it is going to. And, you know, those at the bottom of the economic table, they are the ones who are going to feel it most. Yes. Let us take a break. This is Rebel Radio.
It's the Everybody Sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleyburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware, and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with their super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring, and more. At Tools, hardware, and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware.
Welcome to Caribbean Business Review, where insight meets impact. We bring you economic and financial updates, sharp statistical breakdowns, and data-driven insights on the forces shaping the region. Smart analysis, bold ideas, real Caribbean intelligence. This is CBR.
Welcome to episode 10 of season 3 of the Caribbean Business Review. I'm Joseph Cox. Now, this week we examine how war, policy, and governance are simultaneously testing the resilience of Caribbean economies. Well, first of all, let me thank you for your continued support across all our social media platforms and on MKR Radio. A new edition of the Caribbean Financial Dispatch is now available, and readers can follow the dispatch at caribbeanfinancialdispatch.substack.com. In this week's program, we bring you a special report, The Gulf Crisis Explained, examining how insurance markets, not just conflict, can effectively shut down global trade. From war risk premiums to freight repricing, we break down how financial choke points are reshaping energy flows, supply chains, and ultimately prices across the Caribbean. In the CBR briefing, we examine managing the oil shock, why the Caribbean needs a new strategy, offering a dispassionate assessment of the region's response to the current Gulf crisis and whether these approaches represent durable strategy or short-term palliatives masking deeper structural risks. But before we turn to today's briefing, there's an issue I'm obliged to bring to your attention, one that highlights a persistent tension across the region between political directorates and the state bureaucracy. The common refrain is the need for speed. Frustration with processes often seen as slow and methodical, yet those same processes exist to safeguard the public interest. While this example is drawn from Jamaica, the underlying issue is relevant across the Caribbean. When Hurricane Melissa struck, it created not only physical devastation, but a governance challenge on a scale Jamaica has not faced in its independent history. The government's response, the proposed National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, are narrow. It's bold, necessary, and designed to accelerate rebuilding. But centralization at this scale raises deeper structural questions. In fast-tracking development, does NARA risk marginalizing existing state agencies responsible for planning and approvals, potentially weakening institutional integrity over time? Environmental impact assessments, often the most time-consuming but essential safeguard, may also come under pressure if speed becomes the overriding priority. There is also no clearly defined sunset clause, raising the risk that NARA evolves from a temporary recovery vehicle into a permanent parallel authority, potentially drawing skilled persons away from institutions like NEPA and undermining long-term regulatory capacity. And critically, where does community consultation fit? Without structured mechanisms for public input, reconstruction risks becoming efficient but not necessarily inclusive. Global experience is clear. Where these models succeed, speed is balanced with oversight, institutional discipline, and public trust. For Jamaica and indeed the wider Caribbean, the question is not just how quickly countries rebuild, but whether they do so in a way that strengthens rather than weakens the system itself. Against that backdrop, let's turn to the key stories we are following this hour in Market Watch and Global Pulse. Coming up in the Market Watch, Jamaica unveils fast-track investment framework, Guyana pays $5 billion in cash grants to public sector workers, and Barbados' debt ratio falls to 93.3%. Then in Global Pulse, war risk insurance costs surge to 5%, China fuel export ban intensifies Asia's supply crunch, and energy shock threatens global trade outlook. All that and more this hour on Market Watch and Global Pulse. Coming up next is the CBR Briefing. This is your CBR Briefing. Across the Caribbean, governments are responding to rising global fuel prices, but they are doing so in different ways. Some are absorbing the shock, some are passing it through, and some are attempting to manage it. But the real question is whether the region is missing a more effective strategy altogether. This is not a typical oil shock. It's being driven not just by crude prices, but by freight costs, war risk insurance, and tightening global energy markets. For Caribbean economies, this creates a layered cost shock, affecting fuel, electricity, transport, and food prices simultaneously. And as these pressures build, governments are not just managing energy costs, they are managing political risk in real time, as cost of living pressures translate quickly into public sentiment. Barbados has taken one of the more advanced approaches. It is subsidizing electricity costs, reducing fuel taxes, and critically, locking in fuel prices at $92 per barrel for 3 months. This is effectively a form of hedging. But hedging is not about lowering prices. It's about buying certainty. The goal is not necessarily to secure the lowest price, but to secure predictability in a volatile market. Elsewhere, the approaches differ. Jamaica's approach is to absorb volatility at the consumer level, not the state level. There has been no indication of a hedging strategy. Instead, the country continues to rely largely on market-based pricing and the pass-through of global fuel costs. This reflects a broader policy philosophy, one grounded in fiscal discipline, debt reduction, and rules-based economic management. But it also means that households and businesses are more directly exposed to volatility. In effect, Jamaica is choosing to protect the balance sheet rather than shield the consumer. Antigua and Barbuda, meanwhile, is holding fuel prices steady by reducing fuel taxes and absorbing higher import costs at the fiscal level. Importantly, the government has already signaled that if global pressures persist, adjustments may become unavoidable. The Caribbean is no longer responding uniformly to oil shocks. It's fragmenting into distinct policy regimes, those that absorb volatility, those that transfer it, and those that attempt to manage it. But outside the region, a more interventionist model is emerging. In Greece, the government has introduced temporary emergency legislation that directly regulates pricing behavior across the economy. In the fuel market, wholesalers are capped at 5 euro cents per litre above refinery prices, and retailers are limited to 12 euro cents per litre margins when selling to consumers. There is some flexibility for island regions where additional transport costs can be added, but within control limits. At the same time, the policy extends beyond fuel. Food and basic goods margins are capped at 2025 levels, and enforcement is strict. Fines can reach up to 5 million euros, supported by increased inspections across the supply chain. So this is not a subsidy model. It's a system designed to limit how inflation moves through the economy. And this is where the real policy challenge begins, because hedging alone is not enough. Even if a country stabilizes the price of imported fuel, logistics costs can rise, distribution margins can expand, and final prices can still increase. So the real policy challenge becomes twofold: controlling the input price and controlling the final price. And this is where a more effective Caribbean strategy may lie. The Caribbean should not choose between hedging and market control. It should integrate both, managing not just the price of energy, but how that price moves through the economy. A hybrid approach that uses hedging to manage volatility and applies targeted margin discipline to prevent excessive price pass-through. Not full price control, but smart temporary market oversight. Because this is no longer just an energy issue. It's about inflation control, fiscal sustainability, and political stability. The Caribbean cannot control global oil prices, but it can control how those prices are transmitted through its economies. And in this cycle, that distinction may prove decisive. Now that's your CBR briefing. This is your market brief. In Jamaica, the government is rolling out a fast-track investment framework through NARA and FAST to accelerate major projects. Pension reforms are set to unlock over $21 billion in capital, while inflation eased to 3.9%. In Guyana, nearly $5 billion has been distributed to public sector workers. Authorities are also revisiting refinery plans amid rising oil prices. In Barbados, the budget has been revised upwards by $500 million, while debt has declined to 93.3% of GDP, alongside expanded tax relief. In the Bahamas, exports fell 5%, while imports rose 13%. In Antigua and Barbuda, fuel prices are being stabilized through tax adjustments alongside temporary relief measures on essential goods. In Grenada, access to the U.S. seafood market has been restored. In the Cayman Islands, new legislation strengthens protection for homeowners facing foreclosure. In Bermuda, inflation rose to 2.6%, while retail sales declined for a third consecutive month. Regionally, IDB Invest has secured $3.5 billion in new capital, expanding financing capacity across the Caribbean. And the U.S. has tightened immigration measures further, including exit incentives for Jamaicans and visa bans for Grenada. Now that's your market brief on the Caribbean Business Review. For more, look for us on YouTube and Spotify.
In a world of constant change, insight is your greatest asset. At Joseph Cox & Associates, we empower innovation across the Caribbean. Whatever your challenge, we can help. We're proudly customer-centric, offering bespoke solutions tailored to every partner. From innovation and digital transformation to leadership and policy, our services are designed to deliver lasting impact. We partner with leaders across sectors, from finance and government to energy, tech, and infrastructure, helping them navigate complexity with confidence. Our work is grounded in collaboration. We connect regional leaders through powerful networks, driving change through joint research. Discover more at josephcox.org. Joseph Cox & Associates. Insight, experience, impact.
Head on Caribbean Business Review, a special report on the Gulf crisis explained how insurance, not war, is shutting down global trade and why the Caribbean is already feeling the impact. In that moment, one of the most important trade routes in the world, the Strait of Hormuz, did not close physically, it closed financially. And once it closed financially, it became far harder to reopen, not because of a naval blockade, not because of a minefield, not because of a missile strike, but because the global insurance system could no longer price the risk. To be clear, a tanker may physically pass through the Strait of Hormuz, but without insurance, it cannot legally operate, obtain cargo finance, or enter most ports. Welcome. This is a CBR special report on the Gulf crisis explained how insurance could shut down global trade. I'm Joseph Cox. Now on March 5, 2026, something remarkable happened. At the stroke of midnight, 7 of the 12 international group protection and indemnity clubs that collectively insure roughly 90% of the world's ocean-going tonnage executed cancellation notices for war risk coverage across the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, and Iranian territorial waters. These insurance letters were issued in London. And in that moment, one of the most important trade routes in the world, the Strait of Hormuz, did not close physically, it closed financially. And once it closed financially, it became far harder to reopen, not because of a naval blockade, not because of a minefield, not because of a missile strike, but because the global insurance system could no longer price the risk. In fact, war risks premiums rise sharply as underwriters reprice exposure and reinsurers restrict the capital they are willing to deploy. To be clear, a tanker may physically pass through the Strait of Hormuz, but without insurance, it cannot legally operate, obtain cargo finance, or enter most ports. As a result, within days, tanker traffic collapsed. Oil prices surged past $100 per barrel, and more than 150 vessels sat idle at either end of the strait. But this is where the real story begins. Because what we are witnessing is not just an oil shock. This is the first real demonstration of actuarial warfare, where financial institutions, not governments, become the decisive force in global trade. Now, before this crisis, war risk insurance in the Gulf was a manageable cost. Premiums typically range between 0.05 and 0.25% of vessel value per transit. For a very large crude carrier valued at roughly $100 million US, that meant an additional $50,000 to $250,000 US per voyage. That cost was embedded in the economics of global trade. Ships sailed, cargo moved, margins held. That structure has now broken. War risk premiums have surged to between 1 and 3% of vessel value. That translates into $1 million to $3 million US in additional insurance costs for a single transit. Now, this is not a marginal increase. It's a structural repricing of risk. This represents a cost increase of between 20 and 60 times what the market was pricing just weeks ago. At that level, the market is not adjusting. It is shutting down. And once you layer that cost onto a typical voyage, fuel, charter rates, port fees, and financing, the margin on the shipment is eliminated. In many cases, it turns negative. At that point, the decision is no longer operational, it is financial. Indeed, once insurance costs exceed the expected margin, the voyage becomes uneconomic and vessels simply do not sail. So ships do not stop sailing because they are physically unable to. They stop sailing because the trade no longer makes economic sense. This is the point at which risk pricing becomes trade denial, or what in maritime economics is sometimes described as the economic closure of a trade route. And that is why this crisis is fundamentally different. The Strait of Hormuz is not just being constrained by military risk. It's being closed by financial logic. The binding constraint is no longer supply. It is the willingness and ability of insurers to underwrite risk at a price that keeps trade viable. But the more consequential issue is not how trade stops, it's how slowly it restarts. Because even if hostilities ease tomorrow, commercial normalization does not follow. Insurance markets do not reset overnight. Reinsurance capital does not instantly return. Exposure limits must be recalibrated. In fact, reinsurers would be obliged to rebuild risk models incorporating the new conflict data. Each vessel would need individual re-underwriting on a voyage-by-voyage basis, and pricing would need to be clear right across the layered structure of the global marine insurance market, ending with the ship owners. Now, this is a sequential institutional process, not a political one. And institutional systems do not move at the speed of markets, they move at the speed of risk. And that creates a structural lag. War risk coverage may technically reappear 2 to 6 weeks after a ceasefire, but premiums typically remain elevated while insurers test the stability of the security environment. However, in practical terms, the reopening of the system unfolds in phases. Phase 1, de-escalation without recovery. Effective timeline, 0 to 2 weeks. Hostilities decline. Military risk appears reduced. but insurance conditions remain unchanged. Premiums stay elevated. Coverage remains restricted. Commercial traffic remains limited. Phase 2, actuarial reentry. Effective timeline, 2 to 8 weeks. Insurers begin recalibrating risk models. Reinsurers cautiously reintroduce capacity. Coverage returns selectively but at significantly elevated cost. Only high-margin or strategically necessary shipments proceed. Phase 3, control commercial flow. Effective timeline, 2 to 6 months. Traffic begins to normalize in volume, but not in cost. Premiums remain structurally higher than pre-crisis levels. Voyage-by-voyage underwriting persists. Confidence remains conditional. And Phase 4, market normalization. Effective timeline 6 to 18 months. Insurance capacity stabilizes. Premiums gradually compress. Full commercial flow resumes, but often at a permanently higher cost base. The physical reopening of the strait and the economic reopening of the strait are not the same event. The strait can reopen in days, but it can take months and sometimes over a year to function normally again. And during that gap, the cost structure of the global economy resets. This is not a temporary disruption. It's a system-level adjustment. Markets may price the end of conflict, but they consistently underestimate the time it takes for financial systems to recover. And in this case, the system that failed is not military, it's actuarial. Even where ships attempt to move, the system is under additional strain. Shipping routes are being rerouted. Transit times are increasing. Fuel consumption is rising. Freight markets have tightened sharply. Tanker rates have surged to historically elevated levels, in some cases exceeding $400,000 per day before moderating. But the key point is not the volatility, it's the layering of costs. Insurance premiums rise, freight rates rise, delivery times extend, and all of this feeds into the final delivered price of energy. So even if crude prices stabilize, the cost of moving that crude remains elevated, because logistics is where shocks stop being temporary and start being structural. Now, this is how temporary shocks become embedded in the system. But there's a second layer to the crisis, one that is almost entirely invisible. Because beyond oil and shipping, this disruption is beginning to affect the chemical inputs that underpin the global economy. At the center of that system is sulfur, a byproduct of oil and gas processing in the Gulf. Around 40 to 45% of globally traded sulfur moves through the Strait of Hormuz. That sulfur is converted into sulfuric acid, one of the most important industrial chemicals in the world. In fact, more than 280 million tons of sulfuric acid is manufactured every year. It is used to produce phosphate fertilizer, something that almost all vegetables require, to extract metals like copper and cobalt, to support batteries, semiconductors, and manufacturing, even textile dyeing and water treatment. So when shipping through Hormuz is disrupted, the impact does not stop at oil. Sulfur supply tightens, acid production slows, fertilizer output declines, metal extraction becomes constrained. And over time, these effects begin to appear in food prices, industrial output, and global supply chains. This effect is compounded by the second most produced industrial chemical globally, and that's caustic soda. This is a chemical that is critical in the production of aluminum. It's also used to make paper pulp, detergents, textiles, pharmaceuticals, and neutralize acids in water treatment. Similarly, chlorine, which is base chemical for PVC, critical in the manufacture of pharmaceuticals, and a disinfectant for drinking water systems. So this is not just an energy shock. It's a slow-moving industrial shock. And slow-moving shocks are the ones market underestimate the most. Now we'll take a short break here, but when we return, we'll look at how this global disruption translates into real economic risk, particularly for the Caribbean.
In a world of constant change, insight is your greatest asset. At Joseph Cox & Associates, we empower innovation across the Caribbean. Whatever your challenge, we can help. We're proudly customer-centric, offering bespoke solutions tailored to every partner. From innovation and digital transformation to leadership and policy, our services are designed to deliver lasting impact. We partner with leaders across sectors, from finance and government to energy, tech, and infrastructure, helping them navigate complexity with confidence. Our work is grounded in collaboration. We connect regional leaders through powerful networks, driving change through joint research. Discover more at josephcox.org. Joseph Cox & Associates. Insight, experience, impact.
Welcome back to the CBR Special Report on the Gulf Crisis Explained, how insurance shut down global trade. I'm Joseph Cox. Now, before the break, we looked at how this crisis moved from oil into insurance, logistics, and industrial supply chains. Now we turn to the next question. Why do shocks like this keep spreading long after the initial disruption? And this exposes a deeper vulnerability. Modern supply chains are built on efficiency, not resilience. Inventories are minimal. Production systems are continuous. Storage capacity is limited, which means disruptions do not stay contained. They propagate across the system. Industrial facilities cannot easily shut down and restart. When they do, the recovery takes months. Anywhere between 4 to 8 months is the norm, as has been evidenced periodically in the Caribbean when there is an abrupt shutdown of bauxite plants. And that extends the timeline of the shock, far beyond the initial geopolitical event and far outside the sphere of influence of political posturing. And this is where global disruption becomes regional reality. For the Caribbean, the implications go beyond higher prices. They are structural. Because in a constrained global system, supply is not distributed evenly. It is allocated. And it is allocated based on priority. Large markets such as the United States, China, and Europe are serviced first. They have long-term contracts, scale, purchasing power, and strategic importance. Smaller markets, particularly small island developing states, sit much lower in that hierarchy. The region sits at the downstream end of global logistics chains. It imports a majority of its petroleum products and a substantial share of its food. Smaller cargo volumes, reliance on transshipment hubs, and limited bargaining power in shipping markets mean that increases in freight and insurance costs are transmitted quickly into domestic prices. This creates a form of logistics-driven imported inflation in which global shipping costs translate directly into domestic price pressures across energy and food markets. Which means the Caribbean is not just exposed to higher prices, it is exposed to delayed access, and in some cases, reduced access altogether. At the same time, shipping economics reinforces this disadvantage. Caribbean markets are small in volume, fragmented across multiple islands, and relatively high cost to service. Many Caribbean states import refined petroleum products rather than crude oil itself. The supply chain, therefore, includes multiple layers of freight and insurance exposure. Crude shipped to refineries, processed into fuel, then transported again as refined products to regional markets. Each stage adds freight, insurance, and handling costs. Refined fuel markets often respond first because they sit closest to the logistics chain where freight costs, insurance premiums, and shipping disruptions are priced in real time. In a normal environment, that is manageable. But in a constrained environment where vessels are limited and costs are elevated, shipping capacity is allocated to routes that maximize return. And that does not favor small dispersed markets. So the Caribbean faces a double constraint. First, higher global prices. Second, reduced priority in the allocation of both cargo and shipping capacity. The COVID-19 pandemic made this clear. In a tight global market, the Caribbean is not a priority destination. It is the residual destination, which means the region adjusts last and absorbs the shock the longest. This amplifies the cost shock, because even when supply arrives, it arrives later at higher costs and with greater volatility. Energy costs rise, freight costs rise, food prices rise, and the effect cascades throughout the economy. And as these pressures build, they do not remain economic. They become social and increasingly political. But the most important point is this: the same lags that delay the recovery of global supply chains tend to last even longer in smaller, lower priority markets. This means that the Caribbean is not just exposed to higher costs, it is exposed to longer-lasting higher costs, and that compounds the impact. Because elevated energy and freight prices remain embedded in the system well after global conditions begin to stabilize. At the same time, disruptions to industrial inputs begin to affect production. Agriculture becomes more expensive, fertilizer costs rise, and food security pressures increase. So the issue is not just inflation. It is persistent inflation combined with supply disruption. In the Caribbean, shocks do not just hit harder, they last longer and they compound. And this is where economic risk becomes systemic risk. And that brings us to the final point. Governments across the Caribbean are responding, but in different ways. Some are absorbing the shock through subsidies, some are passing it through to consumers, and some are attempting to manage volatility through hedging. But these approaches share a limitation. They focus on price, not on transmission. Because the real issue is not just the price of energy, it's how that price moves through the economy. Which means policy cannot focus on price alone, it must address access. Because in this cycle, supply is not guaranteed. And in global trade, access is power. That is where the policy gap becomes clear. A more effective strategy requires integration, managing volatility through hedging, while also applying targeted oversight to limit excessive price pass-through. Not permanent controls, but temporary, calibrated interventions. The Gulf crisis is being framed as an oil story, but it's not just about oil. It's about systems, insurance systems, logistics systems, industrial systems, and how those systems respond under stress. Even if the conflict were to end tomorrow, the cost structure it has created will not. Because once risk is repriced, it does not immediately reverse. The Caribbean cannot control global events, but it can control how those events are transmitted through its economies. The issue is no longer the price of oil. It's the price of moving the world. Because when systems fail, prices are no longer set by markets, they are set by constraints. And in this cycle, that distinction may prove decisive. Now, but before we close, there are 3 signals that policymakers, businesses, and investors across the Caribbean should be watching very closely in the weeks ahead. Signal 1. Insurance premium normalization. The first signal is insurance. Not oil prices, insurance pricing. If war risk premiums remain elevated, even as tensions ease, that tells you the system has not reset. Because the true reopening of global trade is not when ships move, it's when risk is priced normally again. If premiums remain structurally high, then elevated energy and freight costs will persist. The key takeaway being, watch insurance, not headlines. Signal 2. Freight rates versus oil prices. The second signal is a relationship between oil prices and freight rates. If oil prices stabilize but freight costs remain elevated, that tells you the disruption has moved deeper into the system. Because at that point, the constraint is no longer supply, it's logistics. The key takeaway, if freight stays high, inflation stays embedded. And 3, fertilizer and food price lag. The third signal is fertilizer pricing and the lag into food inflation. If fertilizer costs remain elevated through the next planting cycle, then food price pressures will not be immediate, they will be delayed. And delayed shocks are often the most dangerous because they arrive after the initial crisis has faded from view. The key takeaway, watch fertilizer to understand where food inflation is going next. So for Caribbean policymakers, the implication is clear. This is no longer just about managing price volatility. It's about managing access and managing duration. Because in a constrained global system, the greatest risk is not just higher prices, it is delayed supply and prolonged exposure, which means the policy response must evolve from reacting to price to anticipating transmission, from managing costs to securing supply, and from short-term relief to strategic resilience. Now, this has been your CBR Special Report. I am Joseph Cox. Market Watch is up next, right here on the Caribbean Business Review.
In a world of constant change, insight is your greatest asset. At Joseph Cox & Associates, we empower innovation across the Caribbean. Whatever your challenge, we can help. We're proudly customer-centric, offering bespoke solutions tailored to every partner. From innovation and digital transformation to leadership and policy, our services are designed to deliver lasting impact. We partner with leaders across sectors, from finance and government to energy, tech, and infrastructure, helping them navigate complexity with confidence. Our work is grounded in collaboration. We connect regional leaders through powerful networks, driving change through joint research. Discover more at josephcox.org. Joseph Cox & Associates. Insight, experience, impact.
Welcome to Market Watch. We begin in Jamaica, where inflation declined by 0.9% in February, driven by a 2.5% fall in food prices, although housing and transport costs rose. Annual inflation stands at 3.9%. At the same time, Jamaica is advancing a new investment execution framework through NARA and FAST, targeting projects above $150 million US, while pension reforms could unlock over $21 billion in domestic capital. In Barbados, the fiscal position continues to improve, with debt declining to 93.3% of GDP. However, the government has revised its budget upwards by $500 million to account for rising global energy costs, while introducing tax relief and cost of living support measures. Turning to the Bahamas, exports declined 5% to $186 million in the fourth quarter, while imports rose 13% to $1.4 billion, highlighting a widening trade imbalance driven by machinery and food imports. In the Cayman Islands, new legislation has been passed to slow mortgage foreclosures, requiring enhanced lender disclosure, borrower engagement, and independent property valuations before repossession. In Guyana, the government has injected nearly $5 billion into the economy through cash grants to over 48,000 public sector workers, while maintaining strong growth of 36% annually since 2021, driven by oil production near 900,000 barrels per day. At the same time, Guyana is revisiting plans for a domestic oil refinery, with at least 5 investors engaged, alongside continued investment in gas-to-energy infrastructure aimed at reducing electricity costs. In Antigua and Barbuda, the government is absorbing rising fuel costs to maintain gasoline prices at $14.25 per gallon, while introducing temporary tax relief measures on essential goods to cushion households. Similarly, Belize has held fuel taxes steady despite rising global prices, while St. Lucia has maintained its fiscal outlook, citing stable economic indicators despite external risks. In Grenada, access to the U.S. seafood market has been restored following compliance with international regulatory standards, supporting export recovery and fisheries livelihood. In Bermuda, inflation has edged up to 2.6%, driven by higher travel and healthcare costs, while retail sales volumes declined for a third consecutive month. In Curacao, tourism continued to strengthen, with two-over arrivals rising 7% year-on-year to over 74,000 visitors in February, led by growth from South America and North America. Regionally, IDB Invest has completed a $3.5 billion capital increase, expanding its annual financing capacity to approximately $22 billion to support private sector development across Latin America and the Caribbean. Finally, in migration developments, the United States has expanded voluntary return incentives and visa bond requirements, affecting several Caribbean countries, with Grenada being the latest addition and potentially influencing regional labor mobility and remittance flows. Now, before we wrap, here's a quick look at regional currencies and stock market performance. CARICOM exchange rates remain broadly stable, with the Bahamas, Barbados, and Belize maintaining their long-standing pegs, while Jamaica trades at 158.71 to the US dollar, Trinidad at 6.80, Suriname at 37.76, and Guyana at 218. Haiti's GOR 31.68. On the equity side, Caribbean markets were mixed. The JSC index declined by 0.08%, and Trinidad's all-TNT index edged up 0.21%. The BISX and BSC declined by 0.39% and 0.02% respectively, while all other regional indices traded firm. The Caribbean Exchange Index advanced marginally. Among movers, National Enterprises advanced 15%, while Portland's JSX declined 13.7%, highlighting continued stock-specific volatility. Now that's it for your Market Watch. I'm Joseph Cox. Global Pulse is up next. This is CBR. Welcome to Global Pulse. We begin with global energy markets where oil prices have surged above $100 per barrel, up nearly 50% since late February as Middle East disruptions intensify. The Strait of Hormuz, responsible for roughly 20% of global oil and gas flows, remain constrained with over 12 million barrels per day removed from supply and up to 6 million barrels still at risk. War risk insurance premiums have surged to as high as 5% of vessel value, significantly raising shipping costs, while attacks on vessels and reduced transit volumes are tightening global supply chains and pushing freight and energy prices higher. In gas markets, European prices are projected to remain about 40% above previous forecasts through 2027, reflecting structural supply constraints, LNG competition, and the phase-out of Russian gas. The broader impact is now feeding into global trade. The WTO warns that sustained energy shocks could slow goods trade growth to 1.9%, with further downside risks linked to fertilizer supply disruptions and rising food costs. Turning to North America, Canada's inflation has eased to 1.8% with core measures near target. However, rising oil prices could push inflation back towards 3% even as labor markets weaken and housing activity softens, with prices down 4.8% year-on-year. In the United States, higher oil prices are expected to boost producer cash flows by over $60 billion if sustained, while also increasing consumer fuel spending and adding pressure to inflation. Airlines are already responding, with fares rising 15 to 20% as jet fuel costs surge more than 50%, forcing capacity adjustments. Meanwhile, the U.S. is considering easing sanctions on Venezuela to add up to 400,000 barrels per day to global supply, although structural constraints limit the potential impact. In Latin America, Venezuela's exports have declined, with a sharp collapse in Asian demand and rising inventories constraining recovery despite increased flows to the U.S. and Europe. In Europe, growth remains uneven. Spain continues to lead expansion at 2.8%, while Germany lags at 0.2%, reflecting export pressures and structural challenges. EU-wide growth reached 1.5% in 2025, supported by tourism and migration. At the same time, UK borrowing costs have surged, with 10-year yields rising to 4.93%, the highest since 2008, as markets price in further rate hikes amid persistent inflation risks. In China, there are mixed signals. Property markets are stabilizing in major cities, but household borrowing has contracted sharply, highlighting weak consumer demand despite strong overall credit growth. Compounding this, China's suspension of fuel exports is tightening Asian markets, pushing diesel, jet fuel, and petrol prices sharply higher and intensifying regional supply shortages. Finally, on policy and structural trends, the EU's energy transition is expected to require modest additional investment of around 1% of GDP annually, while maintaining manageable macroeconomic impacts through carbon pricing and subsidies. Now, before we close, a quick look at the markets. Energy prices moved higher amid Middle East tensions. West Texas Intermediate crude traded at $98.23, while Brent crude closed the week at $112.20. The OPEC basket is even higher at $135.10, underscoring continued supply tightness. Natural gas, however, slipped 2.24% to $3.10. In equity markets, sentiment has turned negative. In the United States, the Dow Jones fell 0.96%, the S&P 500 declined 1.5%, and the Nasdaq dropped just over 2%. Across Europe, losses were also broad-based, with the FTSE 100 down 1.4% and Germany's DAX falling 2%. In Asia, Japan's Nikkei dropped sharply by 3.4%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng declined 0.9%. Overall, markets are reacting to rising energy costs, inflation risk, and tightening financial conditions. Now that's it for Global Pulse. I'm Joseph Cox. This is CBR.
In a world of constant change, insight is your greatest asset. At Joseph Cox & Associates, we empower innovation across the Caribbean. Whatever your challenge, we can help. We're proudly customer-centric, offering bespoke solutions tailored to every partner. From innovation and digital transformation to leadership and policy, our services are designed to deliver lasting impact. We partner with leaders across sectors, from finance and government to energy, tech, and infrastructure, helping them navigate complexity with confidence. Our work is grounded in collaboration. We connect regional leaders through powerful networks, driving change through joint research. Discover more at josephcox.org. Joseph Cox & Associates. Insight, experience, impact.
Well, that's a wrap on episode 10, season 3 of Caribbean Business Review. Now, thank you so much to our loyal audience across MKR Radio and all digital platforms for your continued support. As always, we stand by our mantra that knowledge is strength, but information is power. In this week's CBR special report, we examined how global conflict is reshaping trade, not through physical disruption, but through financial systems. As war risk insurance surges, shipping can become economically unviable, creating what is in effect a financial blockade. The result is higher energy, food, and freight costs across import-dependent economies. Crucially, these pressures do not disappear when the conflict subsides. They persist, embedded in insurance markets, logistics chains, and global risk pricing, exposing the Caribbean to prolonged inflation and delayed recovery. Now, the strategic takeaways are, in 1, financial choke points now rival physical ones. Trade can be shut down by pricing risk even when shipping lanes remain open. Price risks are transmission-driven. Insurance and freight costs now carry inflation across the system. And 3, small economies absorb the longest impact. Higher costs, delayed supply, and slower recovery define the Caribbean experience. Now, the latest edition of the Caribbean Financial Dispatch is now live. You can read it via the link in our YouTube comments or follow and subscribe at caribbeanfinancialdispatch.substack.com. You can also listen to this episode at your convenience on Spotify. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and follow Caribbean Business Review across all platforms. Until next week, same time, same place, I'm Joseph Cox, and this has been the Caribbean Business Review.
Of the righteous, the hearts of men getting more and more vicious. Brutality is on the increase. Tell me, when the love of God sees no power on earth to separate me from Lord. away from you. I love you, Father. This level of crime, only love can eradicate. We must demand justice from the church and the state, and confess to God all our evil ways, and He will give us so much better days when we show love to each and every brother. Love will return to protect mother, daughter, sister. Let's hope in our heart to those who are in need, who never receive love. Come, let's sow some seed. No power on earth to separate me from love. Love, my Jesus, nothing will be able to turn me away from you. I love you, Heavenly Father. No power on earth to separate me from love. I love you, my Jesus. Nothing will be able to turn me away from you. No, 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 no power on earth to separate me from you. No power, no, oh no, nothing will be able to turn me away from you. No, no, no power on. Can't even walk, without you holding my hand. I thought number one would surely be me. I thought I could be what I wanted to be. I thought of myself as a mighty big man, but I can't even walk without you holding my hand. Thank you, Jesus.
It's the Everybody Sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagley Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware, and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with their super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring, and more. At Tools, hardware, and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware.
So right now, I just got me a deal with there.
So what I want, my friend George Brooks?
Why, Richie Steven? With us there, I give the almighty praises.
And the best thing that,
Cause when I remember just where I am coming from to where I'm standing now, fell to my knees in praise of your name. Thanking you, Lord, every step of the way. Oh, Father, you know I love you.
so many ways. No, I will never, ever leave you. I won't be ungrateful to you, my Lord. I know that this world is all in your hand. We are your children, and so we give you praise. Oh, Father, you know I love you. You touch my heart, my soul with your mercy. I thank you, my Lord, for all you've done for me. You bless my life in so many ways. Father, I love in so many ways. Oh, Lord. So when I remember just where I'm coming from, hey, to where I'm standing now, fell to my knees in praise of your name, thanking you, Lord, every step of the way. Oh, Father, you know I love you. You touch my heart, my soul with your mercy. I thank you, my Lord, for all you've done for me. You bless my life in so many ways. Oh, I will never, ever leave you out. I won't be ungrateful to you, my Lord. I know that this world is all in your hands. We are your children, and so we give you praise. Oh, Father, you know I love you. You touch my heart, my soul with your mercy. I thank you, my Lord, for all you've done for me. You bless my life in so many I've had many tears and sorrows, questions for tomorrow. There's been time I didn't know right from wrong, but in every situation, God gave me consolation that my trials come to make me strong. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon His words. I've been to lots of places, seen so many faces. There were times I felt so all alone, but in my lonely hours, those special hours, Jesus let me know that I am His own. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon His words. I thank God for the mountains, thank Him for the valleys, thank Him for the storms He brought me through. 'Cause if I didn't have problems, I wouldn't know that God could solve them.
shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff that comfort me. Those wicked will come upon me to eat up my flesh. They will stumble and fall. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to put my trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon His word. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to put my trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon His word.
Trust in Jesus, learn to trust in God. Through it all,
Lord have mercy. God in the day is still God in the night. Life is easy when you're on top of the mountain. You've got peace of mind like you never know. Yeah, but things change when you're down in the valley. Don't lose faith, or you're never alone. For the God of the mountain,
Yes, welcome back to Rebel Radio. And you know it's Monday, it's time for Workers' Time. Yes, this is where we spend some time looking at what is happening at the workplace. And very crucial time now. I have with me senior trade unionist, Mr. Vincent Morrison. And we are going to look at, going to do a post-mortem on the Prime Minister's presentation as it relates to the workers. Mr. Morrison, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes,
good evening.
Yes, sir. So,
yes, sir.
You have listened to the Prime Minister, and what do you make of his presentation in relation to the workers?
Well, there was not much, if anything, in the Prime Minister's presentation for the workers. And you will recall that months ago, the Minister of Finance, in discussions with the unions, had proposed a 2% adjustment to salaries. You don't have to search far and wide to understand that a 2% adjustment to salaries at this time in Jamaica is more of an insult to the workers than anything else. And taking into consideration that the Prime Minister just received his 300% increase with his salary moving from 9 million?
9 million.
To 28 million.
And just to pause, viewers can look at the screen and we have displayed there for you the salaries of Caribbean leaders. And our Prime Minister is the third highest paid Prime Minister in the Caribbean. 181,988 US dollars we're talking about.
Yes. And you will know the contradiction where the Prime Minister posted a graph in his presentation showing the productivity levels in a number of the Caribbean countries. Jamaica was just above Haiti. Huh?
Yes.
You would recall that?
Yes, sir.
But another matter that jumped out to me in this presentation had to do with the narrative about Michael Manley when he was in power and the social and economic policy that he charted. And I think the Prime Minister was trying to, say things about the great man Michael Manley, and was forgetting that unlike all other prime ministers in Jamaica who got total support, Michael Manley didn't get any support from the Jamaica Labour Party, because it was the Jamaica Labour Party who connived with Central Intelligence agents in the United States that almost bring this country to a halt. I say this to say that when you're talking history, you must talk the correct history. But what I was very upset with was that the People's National Party members of Parliament sat down and didn't say nothing, because I believe they could have asked for a point of order and correct some of the things that Mr. Holding was saying. Moving on, Black River, the Prime Minister's presentation on Black River. I do hope it works, because as you know, Black River was devastated.
Yes, of course.
And if you're going to build back, you can't build back the same way. You have to make certain massive changes in terms of Black River.
Yes.
So I endorse what he said in terms of the announcement. I don't know if the money has been found for that development. Mm-hmm. But I was very disappointed nothing was said about Westmoreland, which is next door.
Yes.
Which was even more devastated than, well, as much as very similar to Black River.
Yes.
In terms of devastation. Also note the announcement that the Jamaica Defense Force will end up with a new headquarters.
Yes. Camp Warwicker.
It looks like they're going up to Warwicker Hill.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. I am a member of the school board, the Malgully High School board, for about 20 odd years now. And we've been trying to get a new school, because what we've been using in Malgully is a primary school that we've been using for the high school. But see the disaster here, the primary school, where the primary school is now located, that should have been a trade training center. Now, hundreds and hundreds of youngsters leaving school, not having the academic qualification to become lawyers or doctors, would have been able to get training, whether it's in welding, auto mechanic, plumbing, masonry, carpentry, name it. If that trade training center wasn't being used as the primary school. And I'm saying that we don't need a new headquarters for Jamaica Defence Force. You will notice that millions were spent on JDF, moving from Cotton Tree Gate to Duffy Gate.
Yes.
And I must commend the Prime Minister, because the JDF looks, the facilities look very good when you drive past it on Arnold Road and South Camp Road. So I would have believed that what we should be concentrating on is the damage in the schools as a result of Hurricane Melissa, that we should be constructing the new school in Mile Gully, and that we should be constructing shelters, because we're going to have more hurricanes, And what we shouldn't have happening in Jamaica this time is the school being closed. These are shelters.
Yes.
Because there's no shelters in the communities to assist those people who need shelter.
Yes.
So I would believe that one of the things that we have been doing, as was reported in the Glean on Sunday, you read the Glean editorial, you would have seen where the editorial is making the point that, are we spending the scarce resources in the right way? And when you have scarce resources, you have to decide, according to my favorite economist, a Canadian by the name of Sam Wilson, you have to decide whether you produce guns or butter. You have to make that decision. Because if resources are scarce, then you can't be spending money, for example, on a soldier camp. Thank goodness Cuba, our nearest neighbor, not going to attack us. And this led me to the frailty of the government by letting down poor people in Jamaica. Because there are hundreds and hundreds of people who, the Cuban doctors, ophthalmologists, they have saved eyes. They have given sight to a number of Jamaicans, as we know. After 50 odd years, you don't tell me that as an independent country, you allow another country to say to you, disband a program that have served your country diligently and well. 50 odd years program. I think that was totally wrong.
Yes.
And I think the people of Jamaica, I can tell you, are not going to forget that. They're not going to forget that scenario, because we deserve better than that.
And this is going to have a negative impact on the delivery of medical care in the country.
Of course. And the health system in Jamaica is under stress. It's falling apart. I mean, look at Cornwall Hospital. A hospital that was supposed to be renovated at a cost of $2 billion Jamaican dollars. has now passed 28 billion.
And the work,
what goes on?
And the work is incomplete as we speak.
The work is incomplete.
Yeah.
And when you go to the public hospital, the university hospital, what you find is that the emergency room, that is the room that is now being used as a ward.
Yes.
And you have people lying on the floor. Remember the nurses and the doctors had a protest recently?
Yes, yes.
About they have to attend to person on the floor, lying on the floor. Yes. So we need to understand that our priorities are important.
Yes, sir.
And we should be dealing with that full scale ahead. Right?
Yeah.
The other thing that stands out to me is that for the first time at last, we understand that legislation will go into Parliament, will be introduced in Parliament to deal with access to our beaches. You know that some of our best beaches across the country are now controlled by the private people, the owners of the hotel.
Yes, sir.
And Jamaicans can't access these beaches.
No.
I am happy that legislation will be introduced.
Yes.
The whole question of the proposal for a new framework for urban renewal. Let me tell you something. I am disappointed about my capital. I went to a funeral just behind KPH, down the All Saints Anglican Church on Saturday.
Yes.
And I was dumbstruck with the amount of garbage piling up. And Matthews Lane, another street down that section. You know? And I'm saying that if we're serious about Kingston, serious about tourism, we should fire the people, the management as national solid waste, right? And put somebody there who can manage the cleaning of our city. But you see, the problem is that we don't seem to have a maintenance culture in Jamaica. Because when you look on the potholes around Kingston and across the country, exactly what is happening. What has to happen? You know that I did a little research and I discovered that although we have in our budget over the past 10, 13 years money for infrastructure development, we are not spending the money.
No, there are issues with that.
And the one reason why the economy is not growing, if you don't spend on infrastructure, it's infrastructure that grows the economy. Because when you build your road and your bridges, it opens the country to housing development and other economic activities.
Yes.
You know, I took a walk in some of the plazas this morning, Offertree Road. And you know, a lot of them closing down.
Yes.
Because if you decide to squeeze wages, the people are not going to have the money to spend. And you know of a fact that it's only the workers who spend the money in Jamaica. upper middle class, and those people, they shop in Miami and Canada. And this is something we must recognize. So, we moved to the minimum wage. We were promised, just for the election, a minimum wage of $32,000 a week.
Yes.
You recall that?
Yes, I recall that, and it was made, promise was made during the election campaign.
Yes. And I noticed that is $1,000 a week has been adjusted from 16 to 17,000.
Yes.
Now, that is not a livable wage. Because what has been happening? People have been spending up to 40 to 50% of their income.
Yes.
And basic necessities. Things like mortgage, things like rental. Therefore, if you don't have money to spend in the economy won't be able to move in the direction. And we have been saying this. We have been preaching it. Ralston Hyman has been preaching it. Over and over. And, nobody's listening. So, we will continue to fall back. And when the graphs are produced, we will continue to see the GDP of Guyana, the Bahamas, Trinidad, Barbados, getting higher and higher than ours, because I don't think from an economic point of view we are doing the right thing.
Yes.
Now we are not making the right move. So we go back to the public sector negotiation.
Hold it there. Hold it right there. We are going to take a break and come back up. We are talking to trade unionist Vincent Morrison and Workers' Time. Let us take a break.
It's the Everybody Sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleyburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware, and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with their super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring, and more. At Tools, hardware, and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware.
Yes, welcome back to Rebel Radio. And we are on Workers' Time, talking with trade unionist Vincent Morrison. Yes, Mr. Morrison, you were about to make a point in relation to the public sector workers.
Yes. One of the things that we have been pushing over here, the trade union movement, is for tax collection. And I was quite happy seeing Julian Robinson, the opposition spokesman and finance, making the point that instead of taxing the Jamaican workers and the Jamaican people in this period where we're just coming out of the worst hurricane that we ever had, we should be looking at other methods, other areas that we could raise considerable. Maybe not the 18 billion that is needed, but certainly we could raise quite a bit. And one area that fascinates me is the electronic tax arrangement, because I know that, for example, the general consumption tax, I think government is not getting its fair share from that. In other words, those taxes are collected, but because you don't have the electronic arrangement where you can follow it, who could be losing quite a bit. So I'm quite supportive of that arrangement. But let me just say that we as a country don't want to get entangled to our necks in borrowing. Although, as a country, you have to borrow. Government is presently borrowing money. The point is that if you borrow money and you use those money for developmental practices or purposes, you don't have a problem. So let us take rural Jamaica. Part of the problem with rural Jamaica is that almost all the young people in rural Jamaica is heading for Kingston. Those not heading for Kingston are heading for New York, Toronto.
Yes.
Because I can tell you, apart from traditional farming, there's hardly anything in the rural areas to occupy the young people. So the young people who go to Monroe, who go to Manchester High, Malgally High and high schools and have done well. There's no BPO down there, apart from maybe one in Mandeville. The bauxite industry is no longer up and running. The sugar industry is closed, and both bauxite and sugar usually employ a lot of these young people. I was hoping the government would have come with some proposal that would, deal with some of these issues. I recall years ago we talked about the rural-urban drift. We need to tackle that, because you can't have development only in Kingston and St. Andrew. Well, take Ochoas and Montego Bay. People who work in those towns, some of them I know people who live in Linstead, Spanish Town.
Yes.
Just travel. I know people who work in Montego, in the hotels in Montego Bay, have to travel from Sab. Yes, it's good business for the taxman.
Yes.
Applies those. But, why is it that we have the housing trust? And I'll come to that, because 57 billion more out of the trust, when that 57 billion should be building house. In my view, if you're spending that 57 billion in housing development. It would serve the country better.
Okay.
We would benefit more than to put it in the budget to balance this or what. I think we can get rid of some of the zinc fences around the place if we decide to deal with the housing trust and stop to raid the housing, right?
So
you know.
So, Mr. Morrison, when you based on what you have seen so far and heard, is that you are not expecting anything significant for the workforce this year?
A figure was put in the budget for this year. You a figure, and that figure is much higher than 2%. And I'm saying that if that figure was put in the budget, pay to the workers. What the government must understand that if you're going to increase productivity in the country, you have to motivate the producers, the people who produced goods and services, people who produce the wealth of the country. If they are not motivated, you're not going to get the full blend. You know, if you're drinking a white rum, you know, and you decide to fill it up with ice and water, although it's the same drink of white rum you ever drink, but it's not the same blend. Weaker.
You dilute it.
My point is that motivate. We need a government that is going to say to the workers, we don't have the money. It's tough, but since we can find the money to buy them whole buses, 800 million to buy the whole buses. And I understand my friend Mr. Vaz now has come back to the realization that he now buy no more whole bus. I'm done with the whole bus. I never see anything like this, you know. And again, if you look on the Auditor General's report about the waste in the public sector, we can do better for the workers in the public sector. Okay, now what is the danger? If you talk about 2% in the public sector, it's the same thing the private sector will pay. And they're going to be supported by the PIOJ, they're going to be supported by the Bank of Jamaica, the Ministry of Finance, the Cabinet of Jamaica. So it's like they are going to gang up. That's what's a gang against the workers. We don't want to gang the workers at this time.
Because
we want to get rid of the gang.
Because they are not going to be motivated to produce better.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah. So we have to know how we play with marbles.
Okay, sir.
Right? If you play domino, you know, and you know when to play the double six or the double five or whatever, you will lose the game. My position is that we have to go to the basic economic things. And when you have scarce resources, you spend it wisely and profitable. And you don't just spend like you have a whole heap of money.
Yes.
If you get a salary this weekend and you go downtown and decide to eat Easter bun and cheese with it, you won't be able to buy a bottle of wine.
No.
You won't be able to go to church and throw in a collection. Can't afford that. We cannot afford that.
Yeah.
So, my point is that, and the other thing, I hear the government talking about an organization called NARA.
Yes.
NARA is supposed to be the main group that is doing the rebuilding,
yes.
Reconstructing of the. Up to this point, I'm not sure if the unions are part of that.
Well, I don't know.
And it will be a bad mistake to leave out the union. Because, let me tell you something. You might have heard the term EPOC.
Yes, yes.
Economic Program Oversight Committee. What you need in Jamaica today, as we speak, is another EPOC. Where everybody sat down and were able to help pull the country out from the precipice. Peter Phillips, Portia Simpson were adept in working, accepting the contribution from this organization.
Yes.
And it has served Jamaica diligently and well. And one of our problems in Jamaica is that things that serve us well, we love to mash it down. You know?
Okay.
Cuban doctors have served us well for 50 odd years. And look how we just mashed up.
Yes. Very
mashed up.
Yes, very, very, very bad. Very, very, very bad. So, the situation, as you see it, Mr. Morris, is that we are facing tough times, and things are going to be tougher going forward.
It is.
And
it is.
Yes. And
it is.
What is your what?
Let me just say this one little thing, you know. Let's take this scenario where the government decides to control wages.
Yes.
Right? Because this is what is happening to wages. Wages is a commodity. Just like anything that you buy at the supermarket, any stores or anywhere else. But there's no control nowhere in the society, in the economy. Other than wages.
Yeah.
Wages is the only price. Because wages is really the price of labor. Everything else is free.
Yes, of course.
So the supermarket, you go to the supermarket this week, you go back. Next week,
price move.
You have to buy half.
Yeah.
Even the guy by the street will sell ackee, a coconut. The doctors, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I fully understand what you're saying. Cost of living is moving. Yes.
Yes.
But Mr. Morrison, we will have to leave it there for today. But as you know, these issues are very critical.
All I'm asking for is unity at the trade union movement.
Yes.
I think it's might be the greatest incentive to the workers if the unions then don't come, stop them down foolishness, and come together and make it work together.
Okay. Let us.
Thanks for having us on.
Yes. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Morrison. And as you know, let us say to be continued. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Trade Unionist Vincent Morrison there, and that is workers' time for today. Yes. But, the situation as we started the program today with Ralston, and I think most of us will see that the road ahead is going to be long and tough. Yes. And, we have to brace ourselves to face these tough days that we have coming up. It's not going to be easy at all. No. So let us see what is going to happen. Good evening, David.
Good evening, Desmond. How are you doing?
Well, I am supposed to be okay, sir.
Well, that's good.
Yes. What is the latest? What is happening in the food basket parish, St. Elizabeth?
St. Elizabeth is moving along, Desmond. We got probably a prolonged period of rain, probably about 4 consecutive days.
Okay.
We seem to have gone back to normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the issue that is topical in St. Elizabeth would be in respect to roofs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The government's program that should have been rolled out or is rolling out to assist beneficiaries who are affected by Melissa.
Yeah, and how is that going? Yeah.
Well, there's much chaos. It's chaotic. I have never seen a program so chaotic in all my time, dealing with or interacting with. First of all, the pace at which it is coming on, it's almost ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Second, the chaotic nature of the whole disbursement. And thirdly, the lack of information in respect to the specifics. The minister would have been speaking and the prime minister would have been speaking about all this good PR thing. But the reality on the ground is quite the opposite. So let me.
Where is it chaotic? I mean, people are registered. What is happening?
Well, Desmond, first of all, people were registered and investigated. They had a process. You visited and you had the person's interviewing, and that as far back as November. Shortly after the hurricane, I was made to understand, and I would have been aware. And I think there was a cut-off period in February, end of February, I think. Many persons were not included. And I'm not even speaking about the non-inclusion because, the resource personnel available, even though they draw from different parishes, it is very difficult to go across the area in how it was structured. So some person would not have been, and I think I heard that there is some sort of attempt even being made now to have some persons, accommodated. But firstly, let me say this. Persons were done from in November, December, January, and many persons who were done, you would think it would come chronologically, have not received a single benefit yet. And there are persons who were done as late as February, just before the cutoff period, and they have received text message, have received assistance. Mm-hmm. So apparently there's a lack of how the program is being rolled out, how it's being conducted. Secondly, Desmond, the chaotic nature of the program, the rollout. You are told that government will be paid a maximum of $75,000 cash payout, and the rest you have to take in material.
No, but hold on there. Remember, there are different categories. You have up beneficiaries who can get up to 500,000. You have
well, they have yes, but the category is minor, minor, severe, and there are 3 categories.
Yes.
The minor category will be paid $75,000.
Yes.
Yeah. The other category is $200,000 severe, and I think the next category you pay $500,000 for total destruction of your house, right? So, but the government has said that there'll be a maximum payout of $75,000 across the 3. So, if you're a minor, you'll get the $75,000 cash. If you are in the category that gets $200,000, you'll get $125,000 in material and option to take the $75,000 cash payout. If it is the case of the 500,000, which is total destruction, that same would apply. The total payout cash would be $75,000. Be that as it may, Desmond, I'm saying to you that persons who have gone through the investigative process from as long back as November, December are yet to receive any message, any text, because it is being sent directly to phone from Kingston. They're not the local, the parish office is not involved in terms of information flow. It is being sent directly from Kingston to person's phone. Number one, for many weeks up to now, the phone system has not restored properly in the area. Many persons might have gotten it and have not gotten it, so to speak. So you're not even sure if some persons were sent and have not received it.
Yes.
But there's the consideration about what was happening in the area with the lack of telephone service and the lack of communication. And when your parish office don't have the information, that makes it worse. At least in burial, you're able to have the information from the parish office. There was a list you could go, you could understand. No, it is on your phone, and the parish office is not able to tell you what is happening because it's strictly in Kingston. And I made a point that many persons who have had the investigation done from November, December, has not received anything. As a matter of fact, it is the 16th of March that this really start to roll out on people's phone. 1 and 2 might have gotten something before. Come to the fact now that people are getting text, Desmond. Many persons are getting text with some partial information. You get a text and say you have been approved for X amount of money. There's no location on it where you should collect. None. Some persons are getting text with location to collect. They don't know how much is being paid. The texts are there, Desmond. They're whole of samples of texts are there. So they send some to get cash payout, and they tell you where to go, but you don't know how much is approved for the first part of it to get the material. And you are told have to get the material first before you can access cash.
Yeah.
But nobody not even sure where the cash is. In St. Elizabeth, Southwest, where I'm speaking from, there are a number of persons who are getting text that there's cash payout, you have to go to Montego Bay.
Yes.
There's absolutely no location in St. Elizabeth for you to get a cash payout. So you'd have to journey to Montego Bay.
Montego Bay?
Montego Bay. There are several messages I have looking at people have come to. And, it is a system that I'm not sure why it was done this way. Because for one thing, there's one. If you are going to have locations in which people are going to go, there are many of the hardware that are not participating in it. You can't force a hardware to be a participant. And in many cases, where the hardware are, you have to travel miles to go, because these are those that they are chosen. So you will live in an area, you have to travel 5-10 miles to access a hardware. When you live couple trains to a hardware, if it was a cash benefit, you could go directly to the hardware and make a purchase. You wouldn't have to pay a truck to carry you for $30,000 or whatever.
Okay. Well, it is strange though that...
And they're not sure what is going to be done in terms of how they're going to pay back.
You are telling me that people have to go to Montego Bay. I mean...
The texts are here.
No, that...
To get a cash payout.
Yes. I would...
No location in St. Elizabeth, as far as I am concerned, I'm told. Nobody can find a location in St. Elizabeth that has cash payout. And the texts are saying that when they send that with the Montego Bay, there's other locations soon to be announced. As far as I know, there's no location in St. Elizabeth for the persons. Or not in Southwest for sure.
No.
All the persons are wondering how it is to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Expiry date, we are told that there's an expiry date to the whole process. What is the expiry date? Nobody's not aware, because the text don't say anything. Yeah?
Is it possible that you can, is those texts that you have, what you have seen, is it, you can share them with Rebel Radio? Because we would, I was on a program with the minister when he made those announcements, you know. I would like, if you can share the text with me so that I can make contact with the ministry to find out what is happening. Because what
I possibly can get you samples.
Yes.
And the samples, this man, would be a replica of dozens.
Yes.
You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
It is, people are calling, people are asking, want to have an information. When they are hearing things, they are hearing it from the minister.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister and the Minister has made some $5.2 billion this done. Send it over the hardest hit. And up to that point, persons weren't receiving it then.
Yes.
But it's a subtle thing about are to be, you know, are to get. Yeah?
No, it is.
And it's
strange. It is strange. David, I want to tell you something. I want us to we have to end it there this evening, but I would like us to continue this discussion Wednesday. What I would like you to do.
As a matter of fact, I can find persons who are affected that way to speak to you.
Yeah, of course. And you can send me samples of the text so that I can make some checks tomorrow and try and get some answers Wednesday. But we have to leave it there for this evening. But thank you very much for bringing us up to date on that situation.
Yes, thanks for the time. Thanks for allowing me to speak for the persons.
Okay. Thanks very much, David Satcher. Yes. Well, we have to follow up that situation there in St. Elizabeth, because what David is telling us now is strange. Yes. Well, as I said, we'll have to follow it up. This is Rebel Radio. Let us go for a break.
It's the Everybody Sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagleyburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Tools, hardware, and supplies is turning up the heat this summer with your super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring, and more. At Tools, hardware, and supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!
The Lion King of Hardware.
Here's how to comment during the Frankly Speaking show. On your computer, look to the right of the video. That's your live chat hub. Click the Say Something box at the bottom, type your message, and hit enter. Boom, you're live. On the mobile app, it's just as easy. Tap the live chat button right under the video to open the window. Pro tip, if you're in full screen mode, tap the screen once and hit the chat icon to see messages without leaving the action. Can't type? Check 2 things. Make sure you're signed in and see if subscribers only mode is on. You might need to sub and wait a few minutes. Keep it respectful, follow the mod's rules, and have fun.
Good day. Good day. A statue of Christopher Columbus in St. Anne has been disturbing quite a few people. No, it's not new. We'll come to that in a minute. And also, many people have been disturbed by what is seen as a lack of access to Jamaica's beaches. The matter was in the Parliament last week, raised by the leader of the opposition, Mark Golding, and responded to by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. And we'll take AI into the kitchen today. Can you imagine that? AI into the kitchen today. Thank you for joining us again for this podcast. This is episode number 202. We invite you to subscribe if you have done so. With me are regular panelists Desmond Richards and Vinnie Anderson Brown. We invite you to send your comments and questions to us by using the procedure outlined earlier or attaching them to the comment section of the YouTube channel. But please, first watch this short video. The rich history of St. Anne is not often observed or celebrated. The parish is the location of the brutal encounter between Europeans and Jamaica's first people. Jamaica's first national hero, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and the people's most popular hero, Bob Marley, were both born in St. Anne. So what is a Columbus statue doing in St. Anne's Bay, close to Seville? It's like an anachronism. Seville was once a capital and remains a well-regarded historic site, possibly most famous as the venue for the annual Emancipation celebrations. Near to Seville, to the west of St. Anne's Bay, is a statue of Christopher Columbus. It's placed on a pedestal so high as to make it very difficult to see the facial features in stone. The statue once attracted visitors and used to be taken care of in a fenced park by the members of the St. Anne Catholic congregation at the Church of Perpetual Help. The statue is at the western end of Main Street, accessing the St. Anne's Bay Hospital, the Catholic Church, and Columbus Prep School. Most significantly, it's 100 yards away from the Marcus Garvey Technical High School. Hundreds of students walk past it every day. The base of the statue has suffered some vandalism, the name having been removed. Most people I spoke with don't know why it's there and believe it should come down. Long-standing Councillor for the Priory Division, Dallas Dickinson, says he thinks most people would want it removed. What do you think? On the Garvey's parish library remains of concern. Speaking there last Heroes Day, Custos Joseph Issa lamented the state of the grounds surrounding the statue and asked that at least the grass should be kept green without brown patches and trimmed. He said it should be a place of great business and culture. Even the plaque bearing the details of the statue is faded in parts. There's nothing stately or befitting of a hero about the library grounds. No storyboard about the statue of this great man who influenced leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela. There's an annual Garvey lecture at the parish library, but nothing else to underline the greatness of this first national hero, Pan-African leader, who left his mark on the world, and his character and exhortations are still largely unknown to his country. As to Garvey's birthplace, that is another story. I'm Franklin McKnight. Okay, so we will be discussing that video with two Garveyites, Heru Menelek and Peter Foster, in a while further in the program. But first, we turn to Devon Taylor, Dr. Devon Taylor of JABEM, for his assessment of the latest discussions in the Parliament about beach access or rights. JABEM means Jamaica Beach Birthright Environmental Movement. Good afternoon, Dr. Taylor. Please share with us your sentiments on the latest in the beach access issue.
Greetings, Franklin, to you and your crew. Bluntly, it's a non-starter, right? And before I kind of go into a couple of the points that led us to that conclusion, right? We have to look at how this beach policy was unveiled to the nation, right? In the context of a parliamentary debate where we see the Prime Minister of the country basically present that there are going to be around 22 coastal projects open up across the island. We know the context of Jamaica right now, that 30 to 35% of the GDP of the country is based upon tourism. So basically, tourism is the single most important economic pillar. Coastal economy, the coastline of the country, is really driving the economy of the nation, right? So we also know for a fact, and was admitted to in this document, that tourist industry crowd out everything else. It excludes the Jamaican people from their foreshore. It alienates them, right? And while not agreed to, are actually dealt with in the document, it exploits Jamaican workers, because tourism industry employs people on contract. So, for us, it's really a plantation tourism model. But what has led us to this conclusion is very the blatant conversation that we take from, right, this document is that the document only gives Jamaicans qualified rights. JABEM have always asked for, something that the nation has been requesting, which is fundamental rights, unfettered rights, right? Rights that are not conditional. And instead of instead of the government of Jamaica, the current government of Jamaica, give us that fundamental birthright by being a Jamaican citizen connected to the land, by recognizing that rebellion and revolutions were fought by our enslaved forefathers to liberate this land, right? So the fight for emancipation was about freedom, liberty, right, and land rights. Instead of giving us that fundamental right, it gives us conditional rights, rights that are infringed upon by the license that will be granted by a hotel or anybody else, a guest house, a villa, or a private individual who control a beach, right?
So let's be practical. Let me just try to get practical here for a minute.
Yeah.
You are saying that the existence of the tourism industry as is going in an opposite direction to the attainment of all those rights, of access to all beaches, etc. in Jamaica?
Absolutely. The document admit, that the incorporation of public beaches into private development, right, is a big driver for the loss of access. And this was attributed, of course, to private development such as hotel. So the document agree, right, that also the expansion of roads and creation of highways move roads from coastal land where people had access, right, to create hotels and to open up lands to also expand the tourism product are big drivers of the displacement of the Jamaican people. So that is in the document. right?
Yes.
So the industry.
So still staying on that part, and I know my colleagues I want to jump in, so whenever they're ready. But still staying on that part, do you see it possible for Jamaicans to have access to much of this coastline that you were talking about? By the way, the document suggests that it's over 1,000 kilometers of coastline that we have. But do you see it possible for the continued existence of all-inclusive beaches and Jamaicans being able to access those beachlands?
I mean, the two are not mutually exclusive. The document also shows 5 different Caribbean islands. 5 different Caribbean islands was actually featured in the document that shows them with similar tourism product. St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, the Virgin Islands, St. Lucia and Barbados were featured in the document. And in these places, explicitly, the citizens have rights to their beaches. So it's, you know, I mean, it's a lie to say that tourism cannot coexist with rights of the Jamaican people. In fact, tourism should not infringe upon the Jamaican people's rights to access their foreshore and to use the sea, right? Because it's across 13 English-speaking Caribbean nations. All of them allow their citizens fundamental rights to their beaches. We don't do it. So I mean, it's not unheard of. It exists. It exists, but Jamaica went down a pathway, right, from 1956 that excluded Jamaican people, gave them no inherent right to the foreshore. And here we are in 2026, they're doing the exact same thing.
So, Dr. Taylor, what are your recommendations? First of all, I am in agreement with you that Jamaicans should have access to their beaches. There should be no prohibitive factors preventing us from going to any beach in Jamaica. So, what are your recommendations for the system to be adjusted so that Jamaicans can have access to their beaches?
Well, my brother, the first thing we have to do, right, is that we have to fix what, was harmfully done to the Jamaican people, which is the Beach Control Act of 1956. We need to throw that in the dust bowl of history. We need to burn it. We need to abolish it. We need to eradicate it. That piece of legislation must be repealed and replaced. Remove the Beach Control Act of 1956, and in its place, you're going to develop a legislation that starts with the Jamaican people have a fundamental right, an unfettered right, an inalienable right, not only to access, but that right must be codified, that we need to reimagine the relationship with the coastline. That means we can do, what is it that we do there? We can fish there, swim there, bathe there. We could do all these things there, which are not conditional, right? That's where we start, right there. Now, be concerned about these hotels, right? And we can go right there because many of these hotels are built too close to the foreshore, right? No new hotel should be built so close to the foreshore. This document has made a step in the right direction by they kind of list out, and I see if I could really find it quickly, that there's going to be some restriction to how close you could actually build to the foreshore, and that's a very good step in the right direction. I think it's around 90 feet or so, but it's actually a range. It is 26 meter to 90 feet, somewhere there. I can pull it up. So that's a good 26.2 to 100 feet, right? A setback. Now that's good. So no new hotel should be built in these zones. Now we think that all the lands around the country must be placed in a trust. Whether or not there's an existing hotel there, we should put them in a trust. All right. And what we need to do is this land trust must serve the Jamaican people. And the policy document, we've been asking for all these things, you know. The policy document admit those, but they only admit them to say that any lands owned by the government, right? And when these lands are being divested, they will protect a portion of the land that's adjoined the sea and place that piece of land in trust for the Jamaican people. And we think that's a good thing. It's just not gone far enough. So there's room for improvement in that because they recognize that the dispossession, and I hear the Prime Minister saying about, you know, people being displaced, you know, and I mean, nobody's been displaced, you know, but at the same time, the document admit around displacement. So we are saying that all 494 miles around the country, right, must be placed in a land trust for the people. We need to determine how much above the high water mark that is, and we can have a discussion about that. That will allow freedom of movement in, you know what I mean, and being consistent with the charter rights in the country, right?
Dr. Taylor does want to answer that issue, and you are coming through it, but you moved over the point that I'm really trying to establish. We have some hotels in Jamaica, several of them we know, dozens of them, large one, lots of capital invested. They operate, most of them, all-inclusive packages, where once you get on that beach, everything is yours. What I'm asking you is, what is the proposal that Jabim and others who support, because I do support access to all the beaches, what's the proposal to get around that, to deal with that issue, not to get around it, to deal with that issue existing? You have spoken about the fact that the document relates to also to not building so close to the foreshore. Yes, we know that. But the hotels exist now. Some policies exist now. Some sales of hotel rooms exist like that. The investment policies are based on that. What's the proposal to deal with that existing reality?
You know, Franklin, you know that all of these all-inclusive hotels, they have to acquire a beach license to really operate their businesses on the beach, right? And the stipulated condition in those beach licenses are set by the NRCA, right? National
Resource, yes, Conservation
Authority, right? They set those. I mean, what we think, you need to abolish those licenses to make them that the Jamaican people can walk along the foreshore. There's nothing that should stop us from moving along. You're saying, well, I pay for my beach to be private, and I'm down there with my red stripe and my, food, right? And everything is there on the beach, open up. So if someone comes there, they're going to dip into it, right? And use it. And so, this is a non-starter. I'm saying that they take that behind the fence of the hotel. These hotels are going to be asked to make adjustment, right? Because this is a sovereign issue for the Jamaican people. Because currently, the Jamaican people are being discriminated by not having a right to move along the foreshore, codified in a colonial era law. Now, I know many of these tourists are from countries where rights and liberty are the foundation of their democracy. You could never, ever do that to an American citizen, a British citizen, a European citizen, or citizens from other, let's say, South American countries who visit Jamaica. You could never tell them that they can't walk on a beach. You can't do it. The foundation of these people's democracy is based in freedom of movement and liberty. So I don't think they would object to saying that the beach license now afford for Jamaicans to have perpendicular, longitudinal, whatever access to traverse the foreshore. They would not do it. So what our solution is that you abolish, you get rid of these licenses that put restrictions and conditions on how the Jamaican people walk along the foreshore, enjoy the sea. That's what we're saying. Get rid of those licenses.
I would say renegotiate. I would say renegotiate those and come to some agreement. And I totally agree that I put it more strongly than that. The decolonization of Jamaica is important. It's not just about replacing the Governor General and replacing the king as head of state. This is a part of the same whole, because our citizens are still subjects. It's only that we are still subjects. So to become citizens with rights, it's a part of the whole process. I do not see it as something separate.
Absolutely. And I fundamentally agree with you. So therefore, when the section in this beach control management, this beach management policy came out and says Jamaicans will have qualified rights, and we need to talk about that, because you don't hear all of it as yet, right? To understand how ridiculous this is, how restrictive this is, and how, discriminatory this is. The rights of the public in this area is determined by whoever control the license. Okay, so the rules will be determined by the licensee in consultation with NRCA. But the hotel, the villas, the guest house, whoever who control these new licenses will be the ones who make them. And you want to know something? You want to know something? They actually spell out some of the key areas around where rules will be made. And you know what they are? How many Jamaicans can access a beach at any given time? How they must dress, how they must behave, and how they must dispose of their waste. Right? Just think about that for a second. That the qualified rights is actually laying down condition as to how Jamaicans interact. You tell me if anything changed in that. Nothing not changed.
Well, one of the things that we must ensure that access to our beach, those who access our beaches must be kept clean. We must, so therefore, the disposal of waste must be part of access. You must not go on the beach and litter the beach. We don't want that.
Yeah, but
the other thing I must ask you.
Yeah, but we need to back up right there, so you know. Jamaican people don't intentionally dirty up beach. And I saw it.
No, I didn't.
No, you're not saying that. There's a pervasive thought that we're nasty and we're dirty. The state always fail to put infrastructure in even a garbage bin or a receptacle. Them things
hold a second. Hold a second there. I am talking from experience, right? I know of a waterfalls that I am connected with, and the proper disposal units are there, and people litter the place. I know that, right?
But we see that on the streets every day.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just going to use the example of the street. Yes. We can use the example of even the municipal waste, where people in them community just piles and piles. Listen, I'm not excusing bad behavior for people who litter, you know. Don't get me wrong. But to really put or impose a behavioral burden as it relates to the disposal of waste, right, is something that is consistent with colonial logic, creating all kinds of rules to exclude people. We never have to go this, brethren. The state could put the infrastructure in place and the education in place, and the problem they solve.
I don't agree with that. Not the people I see from day to day. No,
I don't agree with you there, because I know that we have Jamaican.
What I see, not what I see.
Yeah, I know that.
We beg to we disagree.
So let's
we agree to disagree.
Yeah, man.
We agree to disagree.
Because the root cause of why we're having this conversation right now is this provision or this so-called amendment that they're making to the Beach Control Act to tell Jamaicans that they're going to have rights. But instead of giving Jamaican inherent rights that are not conditional, they're putting in conditions in
circumscribing. Yes, and I just want to remind people that this document was tabled in the House of Representatives on Thursday, and it's available on several sites.
Yes, it's also.
Okay, we're wrapping up. Desmond, go ahead, and then we wrap up, Dr. Timmy. Go ahead.
Dr. Taylor, there was a controversy recently about the Bob Marley Beach. Well, what is the latest on that?
Well, the Bob Marley Beach is still in the courts. We're in courts last week. It's still ongoing. We're fighting for prescriptive rights, which is the only mechanism that exists under the Jamaican law. And it's a common law right to really preserve and protect rights to beaches. Right? It is the only mechanism.
Give us the latest on the Duns River, Little Duns River Beach, where you're in court again.
We are in court. We're going back to court March 25th, which is this week. We have applied for an injunction to force the UDC to open the beach to the Jamaican public for recreation, for bathing, right? For all that we use the beach for, because they've locked down that space for the last 4 years and everybody has suffered. So that is the 25th.
It's open 2 days a week.
Only 2 days a week. I mean, which again points to the problem around conditions and permission that are part of the Beach Control Act that the state give and the state take away because the state control the power because the people have no right. I mean, tell us, I really want our people.
There's no point to 2 days a week. Why should they decide on 2 days a week? Why not 5 or why not 3? Or why not 7?
The whole thing
should have access to the beach 7 days a week. There's not many beaches in Notorious area anyway.
And the government is coming with talking about crime and violence like this not happen everywhere. You are in St. Anne. Last year there was a double murder right in the Miami Bay corridor near 2 hotels, right? Because they claim said that's why them locked down Little Duns River, and them hotel the operation just continue. Nothing no move, nothing no change. Everything go on. So really and truly, them just want to take the space. But
Dr. Taylor, we're going to have to end this segment here.
Let me just say one last thing. Can I say one last thing? That the new policy is also going to sell public beaches. It's allowing for the creation of artificial beaches by removing massive amount of rock from the foreshore, right, to build these beaches, and you will not have rights to these spaces.
Dr. Taylor, I promise you to bring you back on that because I saw that and I saw the whole business of the document. I didn't read the document fully, but I saw the whole concept of this creation of these other beaches and so forth, and I wondered a little bit about that. But I thank you, on behalf of all of us, for your forthright representation and your thinking on this matter.
Give thanks.
Thanks a lot, and all the best to Jabin.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Yes. Bye.
And Winnie, you have a good day from our friend Ruby and Forbes, who we missed on our tour.
Yes.
And you have another. You have a comment there.
Yes, Ruben says, good afternoon, everyone. And Owen says, in addition to educating citizens, a few people could be employed to do continuous cleaning.
Yes, as Desmond says, people have displayed nasty habits in a lot of our public spaces. Sometimes, of course, the government doesn't provide all the resources, and NSWMA doesn't provide all the resources. But my goodness, it's not true that people do mess about a tremendous lot in this country, and there's no sympathy on my side for it.
Nasty,
okay, Winnie, we are asking you to take us into the kitchen quickly with AI.
Okay. So today we go to the kitchen. There's a prompt that Joshua has, and I'm going to read it out. He's going to do it live. Yes, Joshua. And this is a prompt. I have a tin of sardines, one very ripe mango, and some vinegar in my cupboard. I want to make something quick and delicious that isn't a sandwich. Using these 3 things, please give me a creative 5-minute recipe and explain the science of why these work together. So that's where we are. Now for the answer. Gemini is working.
1 tin of sardine, vinegar, or what? Mango.
And a ripe mango. Yes, those are the ingredients. Yes. So here we go. Prep the mango. Yes. So what are you going to do with the mango? What are you eventually making? What are you eventually making? What's the name of the recipe? I want to see what it made and why. What
All
did it
right, let
make?
me
Yes,
hold
go
on,
ahead.
Winnie. Let me. So, okay, 5 minutes sardine mango crudo.
Yes.
All right. So the ingredients and you have here is a prep. Let's see. Oh,
Prep
here
the
it
ma-
is.
Okay. Prep
So
the
it's a
Mango,
prep
mango.
mango.
sardine,
Mm,
and vinegar. That's all I
Right.
have in the fridge,
marinate,
in the cupboard.
Yes. So
plate, assemble, and finish. Crack of black pepper and Philly or chili flakes. Let me see. What is the so it
the
has
science. Yes. Why does this
okay, let
work? Yes.
yes.
Because this is going fast. Why does this work? It's all about contrast and cutting. Acidity versus fat. Sardines are oily fish, rich in omega-3 fatty acids. On their own, they can feel heavy or overly fishy on the palate. The acetic acid in the vinegar performs a chemical cut through the fat molecules. This cleanses your palate between bites so the fish doesn't overwhelm your taste buds. So the bottom line here is that if you have just these and it gives you all the information about that. Let's see how the mango goes. Since your mango is very ripe, it has a high pectin content that has started to break down into simple sugars. When mixed with the vinegar and the oil from the sardines, it creates a gastric style emulsion.
Emotion. Mhm.
Yes, you
And you
you
are
aren't just eating fruit and fish. You are creating a complex sweet and sour sauce right on your plate. And then it asks you some questions. The bottom line is with these ingredients, who would have thought that you could come up with something tasty to eat? Your AI tells
But
you
I
what
don't
you
know what is it that you have come up with to eat out of your sardine, mango, and vinegar.
well because you see it how you combine it. It showed you how to combine it so that you can eat the things together and it's quite tasty. That is what it did for you. Tell you how you can put them together so that you can have a meal with that. Who would have thought that you would put sardine and mango and vinegar together to get something tasty to eat? Try it and see
But why we didn't put a piece of,
what
but
it
why we didn't
tastes
put two
like.
slices of bread? Why we didn't put two slices of
No,
bread
we
in
don't
the
want any. We don't. If we had the time, you'd go through each thing and see why, and see the science behind the whole thing, why these things work, and that is why I asked it to explain why it works.
I saw
But
the
Franklin,
nutritional and the scientific basis of what they said, but why we just didn't get a slice of bread in there?
No, we
no, but
With the
didn't want it.
sardine.
no,
We didn't want a
no,
sandwich. We didn't want a
but Franklin,
sandwich.
Franklin, there was no bread in the cupboard. That's all you had in the cupboard, and you what it is
Thank you,
telling you.
Ask your next
Desmond.
door neighbor, man. Neighbor you
No,
next.
don't
Huh?
go beg. Don't go beg.
Okay.
No,
Oh,
man.
okay. All
You
right.
only had
Use
these
what you
three.
have.
You only had these three,
All right.
three. So you just have to use it and make a meal. That's what this is
So
saying.
Winnie, you are saying that you
Thanks.
can go to AI for
Yes.
you can go to AI for ideas, instructions on
Yes. Yes. On
recipes.
yes. Yes. And I have many stories on how I
Okay.
use AI in my kitchen.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So nobody can complain that they can't cook anymore.
You can ask your chatbot to help you.
Okay, thanks, Minnie. Thanks, Minnie. And boy, I'm telling you,
Thanks, Joshua.
viewers, you're going to get the AI story of your life next week. But when we come to that, we'll come to it. Okay. Now, I would love Joshua just to give us a little tip again of the Columbus Garvey video, because we're running out of the time, and we have our guests with us, Heru Menelik and Peter Foster. The rich history of St. Anne is not often observed or celebrated. The parish is the location of the brutal encounter between Europeans and Jamaica's first people. Jamaica's first national hero, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and the people's most popular hero, Bob Marley, were both born in St. Anne. So what is a Columbus statue doing in St. Anne's Bay, close to Seville? It's like an anachronism. Seville was once a capital and remains a well-regarded historic site, possibly most famous as the venue for the annual Emancipation celebrations. Near to Seville, to the west of St. Anne's Bay, is a statue of Christopher Columbus. It's placed on a pedestal so high as to make it very difficult to see the facial features in stone. The statue once attracted visitors and used to be taken care of in a fenced park by the members of the St. Anne Catholic congregation at the Church of Perpetual Help. The statue is at the western end of Main Street, accessing the St. Anne's Bay Hospital, the Catholic Church, and Columbus Prep School. Most significantly, it's 100 yards away from the Marcus Garvey Technical High School. Hundreds of students walk past it every day. All right. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you very much. We're saying welcome to Heru Menelik and Peter Foster. Peter Foster was here with us earlier. Gentlemen, welcome again. First, we just have to ask you, and either of you can start. Are you offended by that statue, and what's wrong with it being there, if anything?
I'm extremely offended as an African. Extremely. This is Dr. Heru Menelik.
Yes, Dr. Menelik. Sorry about that. Go ahead. I couldn't see you on the screen. Go ahead, sir.
I'm extremely offended by the statue of Columbus being in our country for over 500 years. It's 534 years now since the Spaniards came to our islands.
Well, the statue, to be just a little point, the statue was dedicated apparently in 1957, and the Spaniards rededicated it in 1999 or something out in 1999. But go ahead, sir. Go ahead. Just making it clear that that statue has not been there all this time. Go ahead.
Yes. So we have to realize that, as the Honorable Marcus Garvey said, we must enshrine our own heroes, our heroes and heroines. We must not allow the oppressors to put their statues, naming different places to honor their people, and we don't do it. We have to look at what happened in 1655 when the British came. They renamed all of Jamaica in honor of British people. The roads, buildings, everything was renamed. So we have to realize that the time has come when we, as a sovereign nation, should remove all those edifices and those images of our slave masters.
Let me hear your colleague on this now.
I agree 100% with Brother Heru, 100%. These images and statues is a reminder to us, is a reminder to us who is really in charge, who is really running things here. Yes, and we as a people, we have to recognize these things. Yes, we have to recognize these things and know that we don't want this to remind us of where we're coming from when it comes to these things and these people. So I agree with Brother Heru 100% that these things need to come down. All these statues, the one in Williams Grand Park, downtown Kingston, they're all over the island. St. Mary is named after someone, Mary of Scott, St. Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth, all these parishes are named.
But I was going to ask you, sir, that is not a whole lot of pulling down or pulling aside or pushing aside with all these names, as you said, parish names, hospital names in some cases, all sorts of facilities. A friend of mine asked me this week when he heard that I was doing this program. He says, what's wrong with you guys? You're not satisfied in your own skin? You're not comfortable in your own skin to just leave these things alone and move on? How you respond to that, Dr. Menele?
Well, it is a disservice to our ancestors. When you acquire a name of your slave master, and you are proud to keep that name, I had to challenge the Registrar General Department to change my 3 names. They wanted to only change my 2 Christian names and to keep my surname. We have to understand the trick that they use with the surname and spell it S-U-R-N-A-M-E. It is actually S-I-R because you got the name of the Sir plantation that you were on. And I had to fight them right through until they relented in 2015 and allowed me to change my 3 names. What's in a name? A name, it points to your identity, your cultural heritage, and it emboldens you to who you are as a people.
And so let me ask now, so which is more important? Getting the places of our heroes, the existing heroes, getting the places, the symbols around them, everything identified with them, getting those right, stately, and worthy of heroes, or going after the ones who we should just basically ignore?
Well, as I said, in 1655, when the British drove out the Spaniards from Jamaica, they immediately started to rename the places to identify with the British Empire. This is something that is normal, and it is done by all these different nations. When the Spaniards came in 1492, they named Seville after Seville in Spain. So it is something that these Europeans do all over the world because it reflects their own heritage as a people. It identifies them. And we should do the same. All these buildings, edifices, places, names must be changed to reflect us as a people. Let us be reminded that we were here. We were here.
Mr. Foster, what has the UNIA done in advocating in that regard? And are you satisfied with what's the state of, for example, the Garvey statue on the grounds?
Well, the UNIA has written citations.
Mr. Foster, Dr. Menelik, I was asking Mr. Foster if we could give us a response.
Okay. We at the UNIACL World of 1929, we are not in support of any of these things. Our movement is a black liberation movement. Yes, we are here to uplift the black man himself. And Garvey speaks about that all the time, that we are here to uplift our people. Yes, and improve our people in every way, shape, form, or fashion. And like Brother Heru said, our name, how we see ourselves, how we view ourselves, yes, is very, 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 very important. And we have all these European names, yes, and the name carry. Listen to me. He spoke about the name. The registration of our name is by these people is with the number on it. It's like a stock, and we need to change our name and get our name out of that system. Yes, we begin to change our name, and we are here advocating for all of that within the 455 division, Madasima division of the UNIA. That's what we advocate for in our group. And brother,
and tell me what we're going to do about the Garvey statue. Even some of the writing is faded, nothing done about it. The grounds is not fantastic. They upkeep sometimes don't patch dry grass around the place and all. What we're going to do about Garvey and some of the other heroes are treated better, but let's start with Garvey.
Well, we are at the 455 division. We are in the move right now to go forward with getting Garvey's statue up to date. Where Garvey's resident is up to date, and we are advocating right now with the government. I think we should be advocating right now with the government to facilitate these moves. Yes, because it is part of our cultural heritage where this island is concerned, being Garvey, our first national hero. And the attention placed on Garvey when it comes to those things is not really given the attention that it is deserved right now in Jamaica. I don't say...
Dr. Menelik, we look at Garvey's birthplace. For years now, we haven't been able to do anything significant with it or about it, to be able to bring children. Look, when you look at these places, you all were mentioning what was done and has done elsewhere. Elsewhere, you couldn't have Garvey's birthplace looking in the state that it is.
Well, every August 17th, the UNI and upgraded the facility. We were actually stopped by the government and they said they would have done it. And they were actually in court with the owners of the property because the property went into private hands. The last thing on it is that they have now acquired the property and will start to do an update on the property to make it into a museum. But what we are looking at is that...
These things are in our hands, sir. These things are in our hands. These things are ours to do. It's not as a protest.
I have written to the parish council of St. Anne and the parish council and KSAMC in Kingston to rename Garvey's St. Anne, the parish of St. Anne, Garvey City. We have written to, we have written to the KSAMC, the mayor, and asked him Great George Street in Almontown, where Marcus Garvey won his election and was the councillor for Almontown, to rename Great George Street Great Garvey Street. It has not been done, and this is over 15 years ago.
So it's the government that is judging the weakness of the pro-African, pro-liberation, pro-Garvey movement. Or does it speak to? What does it do? What does that speak to? That they just ignore these requests and so forth and move on?
Well, as I'm saying, the awareness of the people, they are more Eurocentric than Afrocentric. And this is why they don't see it as an important thing to do. They embrace. One of them actually told me, I would never change my name to an African name. Yeah, and he stressed the never. So we have to see the mindset of these people. They are traitors to their own ancestors. And this is why the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party will be putting 63 candidates ready for the next election, because we are saying the only way we will get the power is by the bullet or the ballot. And we said we won't go the way of the bullet, we'll go the way of the ballot. So the next election will have 63 candidates of the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party.
But Dr. Menelik, Jamaica, you have seen and you have heard and you have listened to the political scientists and the political people who follow politics. Jamaica is not ready for a third party, and the Marcus Garvey movement might best, or the UNI anyway, might best champion issues with regard to Garvey, lobby, fight hard, issues with regard to Garvey. I can't see why the UNIA can deliver on a proper place for Garvey in the parish of his birth, at the parish library.
We are in the process now of acquiring a radio station, because through media, we realize the narrative can be changed when you are repetitively going to the people and let them know who they are as a people. And Mr. Garvey reminded us about it. Peter Tosh reminded us about it in his famous song. No matter where you're from, as long as you're a black man, you're an African. We need to have Black history in our schools that we can promulgate the great history we have as a people. We taught the white people, the Greeks who were the first civilized white people, were taught by Africans. And we need the children in the schools to know these things that they can be proud of who they are, so they don't bleach and try to look white. Why do we celebrate a Miss World and a Miss Universe, and all these images are white images? I have to congratulate Mr. Alexander Brown, who every year he has a contest known as the Miss Black History Month contest, where we celebrate the Black beauty of our great women. This is what we need to do in Jamaica. Celebrate the beauty of our Blackness.
The other thing that we must focus on, Eru, is that for some time now, there has been talk about teaching Garveyism in schools. And so far, that has not. They have been talk about it, but no, it has not gone further. I strongly believe that this is one thing that we should put our shoulders behind and try and get this get it going into action.
Very much so. We have started. Major Effiam White, ex-major from the Defense Force. He has started a project known as Garvey in School. And he has 20 schools now approved by the government where we are teaching Garvey's philosophy in the schools. 20 schools. We are promised another 20 schools. So by attrition, within a year or two, we should have Garvey philosophy being taught in all our schools.
Mr. Also, if you have 20 now, you haven't touched the it's not the tip of the iceberg. That you're not getting anywhere.
Well, as I say, the longest journey begins with the first step. And we are glad we have made that first step.
I have a question. How does one get a school on that program?
It goes through Major White. You get in touch with Major White and tell him that your school is interested, and he brings in the necessary paperwork, gives it to the ministry, and the ministry approve you as a school on the list.
Do you have a contact for this Major White?
Yes, I don't know it out of my head. I could text it to you after the show.
Okay.
I appreciate that. But gentlemen, even that Desmond has pointed to, it's just so long agreed. You hear people agree with it all the time. So I have to come back to the UNIA and your strength and your strategies. Wouldn't you believe that it would need you to meet with the minister as soon as a minister of education is appointed, like the last one, to be talking to that minister about the Garvey in school, as to where it comes in the curriculum, as to whether it fits into the government thing, and push your policy, talking to the JTA. In other words, I hear these broad agreements from time to time. But as to the action and the strategies that the UNIA's leadership is taking, I don't think it's there, Brother Menelik.
Yes, we have done some work, and I must let you be informed. When we met with one of the ministers of education, and we actually got a nod of approval from the minister. The problem he had when he came back to us, that the teachers did not know enough about Marcus Garvey to teach it. So what we had to do, we had to write a curriculum and give it to Michael College that they could start to teach the teachers, that they could in turn teach the children.
All right.
And Dr. Julius Garvey was very instrumental in that also. He was a part of that meeting.
Well, as you say,
I must mention Stephen Golding. I must mention Stephen Golding, who has been doing quite a bit of work with Gavi in schools. I remember when I was the chairman of the tertiary committee of the Jamaica Teachers Association, there were meetings and the micro project came up. But when it comes to this, sometimes starting small really helps. Having a club in the school is one way of making sure of getting a foothold in as many schools as possible. That's a start.
My cynical response is that every year that you take in one of these little steps, hundreds of children graduate from school, and we get the types of behavior that they haven't heard of or seen the Gavi action. But it's a good point to segue to the fact that this week, 2 of our colleges, Michael
Okay, that's the end of today's show. Thanks to all my listeners and viewers. Thanks to my technical operator, Kevin. And remember, road users, take it easy on our roads. We have to keep down the fatalities. And remember to keep safe until Wednesday. This is Rebel Radio, and I'm Desmond Richards.
It's the Everybody Sale at New Budget Supplies. Do-it-yourself professionals and contractors. This is the sale for you. Lumber, steel, dress and form ply, water tanks, pumps, PVC pipes and fittings, toilets, bathtubs, vanities and basins, windows, paint, doors, floor and wall tiles, thin sets and grout. Up to 20% off selected items. 195 Hagley Park Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
Summer with your super saving summer sale. Prices are slashed on everything you need to fix up your home. Beautiful tiles, sleek doors, top quality windows, modern sanitary ware, exclusive flooring and more. At Tools Hardware and Supplies, we have you covered for the summer.
So come visit us at 279 Spanish Town Road, 4 South Camp Road, 8 Red Hills Road,
or online at toolsja.com.
Tools!